Well, I did say about that time, chaps, and you didn't reply.
Yeah, because I didn't hear you. You were
okay.
inaudible over the sound of a kettle going.
I see. That's fine. Okay, you're forgiven in that case. I was very offended that I said, about that time, chaps, and you didn't give me the affirmative. Righto.
Righto.
Hello, everyone. How are we doing? It is the 13th of April, 2024.
It is the... Wait, which month is it?
I was like the 13th of the 4th because that's what it says on the screen, and I just have to read the numbers without actually trying to translate them. Anyway.
3, 7, 9.
The numbers may... Alright, I haven't even played that game. I don't get to make that joke. Hello, everyone. How are we all doing?
Imagine playing Call of Duty.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Going live, we're live. Yeah, because I've got to say the thing. Everyone gets... audiences get very upset if you don't say the line that you always say. People are very comforted by those regular things.
Okay.
It's true. Anyway, how are we all doing, folks? Good morning from Montreal. Hello, Chunky Chunk. Is it time for a conversation in English again already? I know, right? Every time a Saturday comes around, I'm like, oh, again? You know? So...
Fine.
Don't be like that. Come back, Caradoc. Right. Hello from Bristol. Imagine people watching this show. They need a life. I know, right, JD?
Have you moved yet? Have you done the packing?
Right into the cider. Not yet. I'm drinking coffee first. Then I'm slightly hungover. I got a bit hectic last night and had 2 ciders. And I've been feeling it this morning. However, Caradog a couple of weeks ago ordered some cider from Honey's, and the order just got lost. And then at the point where he called them up and was just like, do I need to do a chargeback or what? You know, they were like, oh, okay, yes, sorry, we'll actually send you the cider you paid for. And that has arrived. So we've got and they included an apple and black, so that's some cider with blackcurrant. And I'm like, actually, you know what? That sounds really nice. I might have one of those. So I'm gonna dig into one of those. I'm gonna have this coffee first, though. 2 ciders must have been a rough night. It was a bit of a sleepy night. In my defence, they were Weston's vintage, so they are like 7.5%. So yeah, you know, focus. So yes, Caradog has a successful streak of orders getting lost in the mail. Yeah, although this time we didn't get it for free.
This time it was also a case of just they hadn't sent it and we're just like, we haven't sent that. I'll send that tomorrow.
Yeah, at least they actually owned it and was just like, yeah, we just messed up this order. Sorry, we'll get that sorted. And like, at the end of the day, that's as good a response as you can expect, to be honest. There's a lot of mileage in people who don't bullshit and will just say, I'm sorry, we cocked up, we're fixing it, you know. So yes. Your eyes must be screwed. I think they are, because the focus looks pretty good to me. Certainly the preview, there's a lot of aliasing on my glasses, and that means you're generally in focus. So yeah. Blackcurrant and apple pie is a staple. Well, I haven't drunk a lot of cider and blackberry, because most of the time whenever people have been drinking that, it's Strongbow and black. And I've made my feelings about Strongbow clear on this show before. Whereas this time I'm like, oh, this will actually be a craft cider with blackcurrant, which might actually be jolly nice. So yeah. Good. So, past that, it's his favourite. It's not. I'm not joking. Please don't send us Strongbow. This isn't a bit. You know?
It is a threat.
Yeah.
We will find you.
Yeah. We will dox you, yeah.
You will be unpaured.
And then you will be boiled. Anyway, Right.
You will be boiled.
Yeah, so I am tired and struggling today. So, however, we're gonna look at stuff and things. I'm basically I've got some I've got some poke me in the eye with my own glasses. I've got some Dell Latitudes here that have showed up, so I want to take those out of the box and get those set up, which isn't terribly exciting, but it's a thing that I need to do. And then I figured there's a bunch of laptops on the pile that are like that need assessment. So they're just laptops where they probably have broken screens and things like that, and it requires us to put them on the bench, open the laptop, and go, yes, that screen is indeed broken, and then order appropriate parts for it. Because I'm trying to get into the habit of doing this more often, because there's too many jobs in the shop that get delayed because they're routine jobs and they sit until they get to the top of the queue, and they get to the top of the queue and I immediately look at that and go, this needs a new display panel, order parts. And I'm like, I could have gotten this far a week ago, and then when it came up to the top of the queue, the parts for it would already be here, kind of thing.
Yes.
So I'm trying to make a point now of actually making the time to do assessments where I'm like, there's no plan to actually fix this laptop, I just need to assess it. And this also catches the laptops where you take one look at it and be like, this is not a viable repair, and you can immediately kick it out instead of having it clogging up the ticket list and ballooning my ticket list out to 50 jobs, whereas like 20 of them are actually nonsense jobs that should just be kicked straight back out the door again, instead of making me stressed at the number of tickets on the list. So that's the train of thought today.
Before I even ask the question, I'm just going to give the response of I don't want to talk about this anymore.
I'm not going to ask what this is in reference to because I don't want to know the answer to that.
Something 20 tickets.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's not where I want to be, and that's why I'm stressed, because I said it would be different, and I'm stressed because it's exactly the same as it was, and I'm like, no, this has to stop. So yeah. So yes. Slydive is drinking Strongbow Dark Fruit. Our cider's better than yours.
I honestly half expect you to just grab the mouse and be like, and I'm kicking you.
Oh no. You are banned.
You have been timed out from chat.
Well, see, you can't just get rid of them. You have to keep them around and then show them what they're missing out on so they understand and repent. If I just send them away, they'll find a Strongbow fan club and sit in an echo chamber. This is what Andrew Tate does with the Hustlers the Hustleversity, the Hustlers University, or whatever he calls it. If you express doubt in the Hustlers University Discord, you get put in a timeout room where you can see all the other people saying, "I made $5 today," but you can't talk to anyone else. I'm not making this up. That's how it works. It's the funniest thing in the world.
Congratulations, you made $5 today.
Mm.
I have a real job.
Yeah.
And make more than that per hour.
CoffeeZilla did a video about Andrew Tate's Hustleversity or whatever it is, and it's just I feel sorry for these people who are just paying money to be part of this group and getting nothing, but whatever. Anyway. I have some Herrljunga non-alcoholic cider. That's what I'm going with.
Harry what?
That one.
Oh.
Herrljunga. That's what I'm going with.
Mr. Jungle?
Non-alcoholic cider. Valid. I support you.
That's Mr. Jungle to you.
I learned how to pronounce Blauhi last night. You know the IKEA shark. that everyone just calls blah. It's actually pronounced blauhi,
Oh.
and it means blue shark in Swedish.
In that language.
In Ikean, yeah. Anyway, right, this is a real show. We do actually...
Blauhi.
Yeah, blauhi. Like the last letter is, I can't remember what the last letter in the actual word is now, but that's silent, so you pronounce it's H-A-I or something like that, but you pronounce that bit is he, and...
Oh, the blahaj.
Yes. Yeah. There's not actually a J in it anywhere, but at any rate, it's...
What do you mean there's not a J in it? There's a J right there.
That's not how you... Well, firstly, the A has a circle above it, whatever that means, but that's blau. It's blauhi. That's how you pronounce it.
All I'm imagining now is a whole bunch of furries stood around in a circle just going, blau,
Blauhi.
blau, blauhi.
Yeah, that's exactly what was happening. And so, yeah.
I paid £900 for my VR headset so I could say blauhi
Yes.
in a circle with other people.
And then immediately be like, it's all Scandinavian, stupid Scandinavians. We have a good time. Okay.
Not all problems can be solved with a blauhi. That's why I have two.
One pink and one blue. And then you make them kiss.
But then it's not a blauhi. Because it's no longer blue.
I suppose. I don't know the answer to this. I don't know the solution of this, but I definitely know we should move on.
So, MacBooks.
However, this first 18 minutes... This first 18 minutes of the stream is the idiot test. All the non-purists, all the fake fans have already left, and now only the real people remain. You're welcome.
Yes.
You are the true heroes.
Welcome to the 80% club.
Yeah. All right.
80% of the stream.
I'm going to change the battery in this laptop, or rather, I'm just going to put this battery back in it, because I put a new battery in it and it's a faulty battery. However, then I fixed the old battery, so I'm going to put the old battery back in it.
How do you know that how do you know that the other battery is faulty?
So, well, I think it's faulty. I need to take it out and put it on the battery analyzer.
I see. I wondered if you had done magics
Well,
with the analyzer already and it had gone, haha.
not yet. So this laptop was liquid damaged, fairly mild liquid damage, but liquid damage nonetheless. It had a dead SSD in it, and everything else came good after I just cleaned up the logic board. So after I cleaned up the logic board, it powered on, but the SSD was stone dead. So I was like, okay, new SSD. And then also, when I pulled the charger out, the laptop would just cut out. So I was like, okay, new SSD, new battery. I ordered a new battery, ordered a new SSD and a new battery, put them both in. SSD is working fine. Well, I'm not sure if the SSD is fine or not, actually. I'll get to that in a moment. But the battery was just not taking a charge. The battery, it said it was on charge, but after being on charge for like an hour, it was still on like 1%. And like it's pulling current, but that current just doesn't seem to be going anywhere. So I'm like, okay, something's wrong there. And also it was a brand new battery that was flat out of the box, and that's not a good sign. It's like sometimes batteries will just show up flat and you charge them up and they're fine. And you're like, okay, don't like that because obviously they should be stored at about 50%. But whatever, it seems to be working.
Yeah.
However, this one...
I understand it is now standard practice to supply raw cells at 0% charge.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because they...
For safety.
I don't know. I would imagine so, just because obviously it means you can ship them anywhere, do anything with them, and there's no energy in them.
Yeah, so there's no chance of a
Literally
disaster.
nothing can happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah, just because, and it's also a case of the cells,
Need a T5.
kind of the design of them has moved on, so they can take that 0% cycling.
Yeah. That's fair. Yeah, well, at any rate, this one just seems to be taking current but not actually charging up. So this one is probably dead and is probably going to get sent back. But I'm going to put it on the battery analyzer, which I suppose we could do on stream actually as an interest thing. We could have a look at this battery and see if we can figure out what's wrong with it or if it actually is faulty.
One of the cells is in a dead short.
Yeah, I mean, it is I cheaped out on this one. I did buy the unbranded one by the looks of things because I can't see a brand written on it. So that's what I get, basically. I bought the cheapest one on Amazon, and in a surprise to no one, the cheapest one on Amazon wasn't very good. But also just sometimes that's worth knowing, because sometimes you buy the cheapest one on Amazon and it turns out to be completely fine. And that's also worth knowing, you know.
What goes there?
Nothing.
Why is there a little hole?
So that gap is there because this is a... that's the back of the trackpad, and that's the adjustment screw for the click thing. So that's just a bit of a void for the click mechanism to click. It's not really dirty, actually. It's a bit grubby, but it's not. It's fine. Yeah. So yeah.
Well.
So I put the old battery on the analyzer because I was like, okay, the new battery isn't working properly. So now I have to consider the possibility that this laptop has a charging fault.
Yeah.
So I was like, I should put the old battery on the analyzer and find out if it's actually faulty or not.
Yeah.
So when I plugged it in, the battery was not outputting anything. The positive negative terminal was 0 volts. However, after connecting up to the battery analyzer, I was able to talk to the BMS, and the BMS was reporting that it was at about 75% health, 90% charge. And I was like, well, that doesn't make any sense because there's no output. And so I did a little bit more digging, and I found there is actually a fuse on the battery, and the fuse had blown, presumably while there was liquid in the laptop, and it shorted out and blew the fuse. I was like, oh, okay.
Excuse me.
So what I then did was I took another dead MacBook battery, found an identical fuse, put that one on here, and now this battery works. It's not in great health, but it's completely functional. So I'm going. So this leads me into the other issue is while the laptop starts and runs, the battery doesn't seem to be actually charging, and the laptop feels like it's in slow mode. And so I'm not sure if that is additional problems with the logic board or if the laptop is in slow mode because it's detecting that the battery is crap. So I'm going to put the original battery back in the laptop, which should now function, and if the laptop works completely normally, this battery is screwed, basically. So that's what I'm banking on.
Oh, is that the RAM?
Yeah, those are the RAM chips.
Huh.
Yeah. So,
I didn't realise that this design had soldered RAM.
Yeah, all the retinas are soldered RAM.
Huh.
Oh, I forgot to put half the screws back into this as well, so it's a good thing I'm going back in here. I wasn't finished with this laptop in any case, but I should be able to just rip this battery out because I don't go to great pains to stick them down just in case.
One thing I did always like about all of the MacBooks is just the fact of they do really maximize the battery space.
Yeah, credit where it's due. If there's any empty space in a MacBook, it gets filled with more battery.
Yeah.
You know.
They do a good job on that.
Yeah. And for all of the mockery we gave the MacBook Retina, you know, like the really stupid one with the 720p webcam, like damn, they maximized.
I thought you were about to say with the 720p screen.
Yeah. They really maximized the size of the battery in that one as well. Right, why is this?
What is your brand of battery? My brand of battery is...
Oh, it's... Oh, it is an Aries. Okay, so it did have a brand on it then. Yeah, I didn't buy the complete non-branded one, but Ari, Ari, however you pronounce it, they are one of the cheap ones, and I've definitely had hit and miss from them before. But I usually buy those ones when it's one of those laptops where it's really dubious as to whether it's worth buying a new battery for it. So you just roll the dice on a cheap one and be like, if it gets it through another year, then it's probably done its job, to be honest.
Oh yeah, they are like 70-something kilowatt hours. Hold on a minute. 70-something
kilowatt
watt
hours.
hours.
Yeah. Well, that'll power a coffee machine. Yeah. I replaced the fuse. You make Soren cry. Does Soren not agree with replacing battery fuses then? Like, serious question. I've not...
Does he just not agree with replacing
Yeah,
fuses?
like... let me guess. He bridges the fuse.
With hot melt glue.
Yeah, like, I don't want to be judgy because Soren is a better technician than I am. But,
Is he?
Well, in some ways.
I don't know anything about the guy, but based off of what I've heard.
In some ways, yeah. Certainly, he's a better
Don't mind me.
Oh, I see.
It was slightly hot for my liking.
Okay. He's certainly a better diagnostician.
He's a better dietitian. Wait.
He can fix a lot of stuff that I can't fix. However, I disagree with some of his policies. Solder blob, yeah. And don't solder blob fuses. They're there for a reason. They're there for a reason, especially on a battery. If he actually solder blobs a battery fuse. I don't like talking smack about other people, but no, do not. Anyway, calibrated wire, yeah. The issue is never the fuse, though. And that's exactly the reason why the fuse should be replaced with another fuse, because that's the thing, is when you come across a blown fuse, you've got to ask yourself, why did the fuse blow? And you have to consider that the fuse might blow again, and if you've solder blobbed where the fuse used to be, there's no longer any safety protection there. And that means that if it does it again, this time it won't blow a fuse, it'll blow the arse end out of whatever it was that fuse was protecting. Anyway, I'm judging, but yeah. Yes, he does solder blob it, is how I'm guessing that, yeah. Fine. Soren can do things the way that he wishes to. As I say, I'm not going to get judgy because, like I said, there's a lot of things that he can fix that I can't. So, however, there are also a couple of areas where, respectfully, I disagree. I'm just getting some missing screws for this laptop so I can actually screw that speaker back in. This laptop can have its screws back in as a treat.
Imagine.
Fuse in the battery is made with solder with a heater beneath. Yeah, that's right. When the chip in the battery decides there's an issue, it fires the heater and melts the solder. Yes, this is what I discovered, because when I found the fuse, it was a 4-pin fuse. Yeah, I'll explain it. Yeah, stay with me. It was a 4-pin fuse, and I was like, what the hell is a 4-pin fuse? How does that work? And yeah, how the battery fuse actually works. In fact, I'm going to quickly bring up the... it's easier if I just bring up the data sheet for it.
I presume we're talking about the factory spec.
Yes.
Because I missed that part of the conversation and thought we were talking about solder blobs being okay because you can use a heater or something, and I was very confused.
Yeah.
I connected the incorrect dots. I had a dead short across my battery output.
Oh, damn it. Oh, I'm not going to be able to find it from this one now. But anyway, so 2 of the pins are effectively just a fusible link through the fuse, which is the protected section. And then there's another 2 pins across, and one of them goes to the chip, and there's a little heating element in it. And basically, if the chip decides that the current is too high, it routes power to that heating element, which melts the fuse. So essentially, it's an electronic fuse.
It's a self-triggerable one.
Yes, that. And yeah, I was kind of aware that these things existed, but that's what was on there, and I was like, oh, that's kind of neat. So yeah, so you could argue that it's a solder blob, but yeah, if you solder blob across that, then the chip can't fire the fuse if it feels the need to. And like the chip did feel like it felt the need to protect this laptop once, and it's quite possible that the battery fuse blowing prevented further damage to this laptop when it got liquid damaged.
Or a fire.
Well, yeah, maybe. So that's the thing, is just like, yeah, you're damn right you want that protection to be put back in place again. You do want to rearm the protection system. So, yeah. Right, let's plug this guy back in.
Ignition.
Whenever I plug something in that has been fixed, I'm just half expecting to just connect the battery and then just see the magic smoke go. And I'm like, oh. Right, I will now start this laptop up.
If you did that, you'd need your blowhie.
Right, let's have that and that.
Will you start this laptop up?
Apparently not. I'm going to get a charger for it.
Laptop, will you start? No,
right.
no, I will not.
Where is there? I knew I'd seen a MagSafe over here somewhere. Soren teaches people bad habits that are potentially dangerous. Yeah, this is the frustrating thing. Again, I don't want to harp on this too long because I don't like talking smack about other YouTubers. That's just not something I want to get into. However, I feel like I will make note of this because it's Soren's viewers that keep coming into my comments sections on stuff like my CH341A video saying, you don't have to do the 3.3 volt mod on this. Soren proved that it doesn't matter. And I'm like, what Soren didn't tell you is that voltage breakdown exists, which means, yes, the voltage will sag under load until you come against a 1 in 100 chance that you hit voltage breakdown and you just demolish whatever you connected it to. It's fine until it's not. Bridging a fuse is fine until it's not. And that's the problem, is 99 times out of 100 you'll probably be okay. But why roll the dice when you could just do it properly? That's kind of that's my pushback. It's in a lot of instances it's not difficult to actually just do it right in the first place, and not, even if the chance of something going wrong is really, really low, if you could just spend a little bit more effort and eliminate the risk altogether, why wouldn't you do that? So again, it's yeah, that's the thing. He does call himself Dodgy Soren. Yeah, that's fair. And so, like I say, I'm not going to harp on too much because, as I say, he fixes a lot of things that I can't fix. But there are certain areas where I think he's teaching bad habits, and it's like, it's not difficult to teach the right habits. And like, this was kind of what I was trying to allude to in this week's video, where I didn't replace the capacitor on that MacBook. And the funny thing is, everyone railed on me for not replacing the capacitor. And I'm like, in other videos, I get all of Soren's fans saying, why did you bother? And I'm like, why can't I win? Anyway, right. Apple. This has a clean install of macOS on it. What's with the new YouTube layout with the comments in a tiny box on the right? I thought they always were. It depends on your zoom level. Okay. Right, there is no battery indicator on this, which doesn't bode well. I don't think it's detecting the battery.
Is there any way you could have not plugged it in?
I will double check that.
You have flipped the thing in and pushed the doodad on.
Yeah.
But is it possible for pushing the doodad on to not connect the battery or something?
Yeah.
Or could the BMS have like said no?
Yeah.
And just turned off the battery?
This still feels slow as well. It's working, but it feels slow. So that problem is there. But if it's not detecting the battery, then we potentially still have that issue. So I'm just trying to see. Yeah, I should have a battery icon in system preferences as well. Battery. Current battery charge 0%. That's not true because this battery was at I cycled this battery yesterday. It should be at 100%. So yeah, that's nonsense. And if I pull the power cable, the laptop dies. So yeah, that's not doing the thing. Right, that's definitely plugged in. I tell you what would be interesting is if it's blown the fuse again after I plugged it into the laptop. But I can't see a reason why that would happen. I can't see a world where it's able to blow fuses but still switch on and work.
Did you confirm that there was output on the battery before you connected it to the laptop?
No.
How did you cycle it?
So I did that from the battery analyzer, and the battery analyzer was reporting output.
So yes, you could. So
yes, sorry, I didn't do it. I didn't do it while the battery was just on the desk before we started or anything. No.
No. I was just confirming that you had checked that replacing the fuse had actually fixed it.
Yes. Right, that's at 1.5 volts at the moment, which isn't right.
What is it? 1.5 volts. Sorry.
The battery output is 1.5 volts, and it's a.
I see. Yes.
Yeah. So this battery should be at like 12 point something volts, and it's I'm seeing 1.5 volts at the output, and like 1.5. That doesn't mean anything.
No. So if you disconnect it from the laptop.
Right. So if I disconnect it from the laptop...
What is the output?
So the output from this will be 0 at the moment because this battery has a system detect pin. So the power should be 0 now because it's not connected to anything, so it'll kill the output. And
except
ironically,
it's
now it's at
2.2 volts.
Now it's at 2.2 volts, but that might be the sys detect value or something like that. So what I might do, I'm just going to get some tweezers and short the sys detect pin, which should cause it to output, and we'll see if the output jumps up to 12. I don't know what I'm going to prove by that. I guess it proves that the battery is functioning.
Yes, I guess it proves whether the battery itself is functioning.
Yeah.
Because if the battery doesn't function, then you can't prove anything with the laptop.
Yeah. But then I think the next move is I need to get that connected up to the battery analyzer and find out if this battery actually works or not. Because if that battery is fully functional according to the analyzer, then that corroborates that there are still problems with this laptop.
Yeah.
So, right. This is the point where I need 3 hands. Actually,
oh no, it's a Paul Daniels.
Oh no. Hello. What's he fixing? Maybe a MacBook. I'm just going to get my other
multi. All of your sins will now be laid bare. Whilst you're doing that, I'm going to do this.
Oh, you've moving us under... Yes, you're right. I didn't think we were going to start going into detail, so I hadn't moved across. However, yeah, I think we've...
I'm now doing this. Hello, chat. You have me.
All right. Yeah, we kind of... I didn't plan on getting into detail here, but this is kind of where we are now, so...
Ah, hello.
Crotch cam. Go, yeah. Right, I'll put the multimeter there, and then you can probably pitch the camera up so the multimeter is under the face cam. Yeah, that'll do. And then you can probably punch in a little bit if you want.
Na, 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 na. Hello, people.
Right, so there's our 2.2 volts from the battery. So if I find...
Paul Daniels asks, is this an A1502 2013?
Yeah, I think so. Yes, it's an A1502. It's had some liquid damage. I've replaced the fuse on this battery, but it's still not detecting the battery. It did detect a new battery that I've got, but it wouldn't charge it. So I'm currently trying to figure out if I've got 2 faulty batteries or there's still problems with the laptop. So now I'm going to short sys detect L, which should cause the battery to turn on. Yeah, there we go.
Ta-da!
12.6 volts.
That's cool. So, explain to...
So what I'm doing is that pin there is sys detect L, and when that gets pulled to ground,
yes.
The battery knows it's connected to something, so it switches on output.
Right.
So the laptop has a 10k resistor to ground on the motherboard.
Okay.
So as soon as when I plug this in, sys detect L gets pulled to ground through that resistor, so the battery knows it's actually connected, and thus to switch on output.
Right.
NAF batteries will not respect sys detect L and will always output. Yeah.
Right, okay.
But good batteries will respect the system detect line.
So if the sister,
Yeah,
I've forgotten what you just called it,
Systetect.
Systetect L.
yeah.
If that is not present on the laptop,
Yeah, see now I've plugged it in, the battery voltage is down to just, now we're at 0.7 volts and very slowly creeping up, whatever the hell that means. So something weird is going on. I'm kind of tempted to just try shorting Systetect L again to see if that's a thing, but also I'm randomly stabbing at the moment, and I think I should actually take a step back and address this properly.
yes. Paul has a suggestion.
Yeah, can you test the I2C lines to the SMC from the battery connector to make sure the diode mode values are the same? That's a good idea. Right, hold on a sec. I'm just going to open the schematics on the thing, and just so I can see what they're supposed to be. So we can check those. Right, I'm just trying to think. What I might do, I might just run a HDMI cable from the workstation to this monitor, and we'll set up capture so we've got schematics and also access to the battery analyzer, because we're kind of getting, are we getting into this? I don't see one. Yeah, are we cool?
We've got the
yeah, the capture, yeah.
you're on a long USB, so you can just throw that over.
Okay, cool. All right, yeah, let's get into this then in that case. So yeah, all right. So yeah, if you set up that.
Places.
I wasn't planning on getting into board repair on this stream, but you know
Have a toss
we've
link.
kind of walked into this, and yeah, a Toslink. No one uses Toslink.
There are 7 of us. 7, says Graham.
Unironically, yes, I use Toslink.
I just use HDMI. For all 32 plus 2 plus 2 channels.
All right, that's going into there. Right, yes, I've got output.
There you go.
Right, close that, close that, close that, close that. Clean desktop. All right, flexboard view. Right, what is this, a 4924? Probably. I'm guessing this is a 4924. I think it is.
There we go.
All right. Huh. Okay, so battery connector. Ooh. Right, it's a bit of a mess. The top row is the row we care about here. So we've got 3 ground pins, 3 power pins, and then in the middle we've got serial clock, serial data, and Systetect L. So as you can see, Systetect L, that goes straight into a 10k resistor down to ground. So that's where the motherboard then pulls that line down to tell the battery you are plugged into something, start outputting. So these are the values that Paul is telling us to check. So flex board view.
Apparently it's a different schematic.
Oh, are we on the wrong place? Is this
Apparently it's this one.
4924?
Apparently that one is for 2015 and you want this one.
It was this. Okay, hang on a sec. I'm just going to take off this connector here because that'll then I can actually see the number written on the board. Oh, it might be under the SSD as well. Nope. Sometimes it's under the SSD, sometimes it's over there. See, if I was really pro, I would know this off the top of my head, but I don't remember where they all are, but I know the places to look.
It's fine, we have Paul in the chat.
Well, if you want to learn how to fix things, it's not about memorizing where it is on every board, it's about knowing the places to look, and then you can find it.
It's going to spend the entire time going...
Yep. What was it, 3476?
No.
Oh.
I mean, Paul said 3662.
He's wrong. It's a 3476.
Scandal.
Yep, which means it's not a 2013, I guess. But yeah, it's a 3476. Just for posterity, I'm not going to try and show it on camera because it's too small, but the board number is written underneath the right I/O connector here. So yeah. Rossman is the real autistic genius. Yeah, I could fully believable. Fully believable. Which sometimes was to his benefit and sometimes was just like, sometimes was not. I have watched some of his court proceedings where just sometimes he would just bamboozle the congressman with some numbers. I'm like, you're not helping, dude. Right, 3476. Let's make sure we got the correct thing. Open. Schematics.
Just to quickly answer a couple of questions that were in the chat about the car sim hardware and review yet. No, there is probably not going to be one.
The what review?
The racing wheel and stuff.
Oh, I see. Yes, yeah. I'll let you answer that one.
It does not spark joy.
Sag.
Yeah, no, there's probably not going to be a review of that. I have not touched it since it arrived.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
Just haven't had the interest. No.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's the problem. And just like, if we actually wanted to make content on that, it would have to come from a place of genuine interest. Otherwise, it's just not going to get done. So
yeah,
fair enough. Oh yeah, it's very slightly different. All right. So I'm going to check diode values. So so Flexboard View gives us diode readings. So these numbers here, 0.51 on these two pins means if I put my multimeter into diode mode, that is the reading we are expecting to see on a healthy board. So
to go back a step, what's diode mode versus voltage or resistance?
So voltage mode, we are reading how many volts are detected between the probes. Resistance mode, we are measuring the resistance between the probes. In diode mode, the multimeter passes a small voltage between the probes and then displays how much of that voltage is dropped between the probes. So this is used because, for example, a diode going forward through a diode has zero resistance, but it does have a voltage drop. There is a loss going through that diode, but it's not in resistance. It's forward voltage loss. So that's why you need this extra measurement mode, diode mode, because there are some stuff where you can't measure it in an ohms value. However, also a lot of readings for motherboards, a lot of the time, there are pros and cons to both, but a lot of these are done in diode mode readings because diode mode is much faster than resistance mode. A lot of the pros do everything in diode mode because it's just way faster. However, I don't know diode mode very well, so when I take a diode mode reading, it gives me a number, but I'm like, is that good? I don't know. I don't know what it should be. So I tend to work in resistances most of the time, but diode mode readings tend to be more accurate. Paul might be able to give a...
So is a diode mode like a ratio between 0 and 1, or is it an actual... Is it a unitless value, or does it have a unit on it?
It is measured in volts. So if I probe this center pin here, which is the serial data pin, so we get 0.53. So that means so that is a 0.53 voltage drop to ground. But I don't know how to explain what that is. Can anyone in chat help me out here? Because like I say, I'm not very good with diode mode, and what I know is that 0.53, that's close enough to 0.5.
So diode, possibly slightly incorrect voltage, but terminology, but to me, it sounded like it is measuring what the breakdown voltage is. So what the voltage is required for the path selected to pass current.
Yes, at a specific calibrated current, as Paul Daniels just put. So usually it's 1 or 2 milliamps. So it's passing 1 or 2 milliamps at 5 volts and seeing how much the voltage drops at that amount. So it's kind of an arbitrary known value it's measuring, and it's comparing to a known value. Yeah. And that known value is common across all multimeters, kind of thing.
So it is measuring the voltage required to get 1 milliamp of current to flow from probe to probe.
Yeah, yes, I think so. It is an effect. It's an effect of the PN. Yeah. Yeah, Dealcar is getting onto it here. If you want to understand voltage drop, you need to understand semiconductor physics. And this is an area where I have some basic knowledge, but I don't understand it well enough to explain it. So I'm having difficulty responding to this. Oh, Caradog++. Does that, yeah, whatever you just said.
Yeah. So it is measuring the voltage required to get a calibrated current from probe to probe.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So I realise this is not in scope of what we're looking at, but a case of how is that then useful to me trying to fix something compared to looking at the resistance from that path or the voltage on that path?
So I think it's is it two things. Measuring diode mode is faster because when you measure resistance, you may have noticed when watching my videos that whenever I'm taking resistances, it takes time for the meter to settle.
Yes.
Whereas diode mode gives you an almost instantaneous reading.
Okay.
So if you know your diode mode readings, it's really fast just to go beep, 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 beep across known points.
Right.
So this is why a lot of pros favor diode mode. And then also, I believe diode mode will always give you valid readings where there are some places where the resistance doesn't tell you anything. So that's why you might want to use a diode mode reading instead. However, most of the time, as Paul has said, is simply because it's faster. So yeah, however, the interesting thing is, if you just go back to the overhead cam a sec, we have actually found a problem here, I think.
That's not what I wanted, but it will do. There we go.
Yep. So our data line from the battery to the SMC. Oh, hold on a sec. I've got the probes the wrong way around. Okay, but that might be a false line. So when you're doing diode mode readings, you reverse your probes. I don't know why someone else might be able to answer that. Okay, that might have been a false reading. I thought I had something just then, but I think my probes were the wrong way around. So we've got 0.53, and the schematic, the known values for this board are 0.51. So that's within margin of error. This meter isn't calibrated. So then the other line is also 0.53, yeah. While we were talking, I got an open line reading from it, and I got excited, but that's because my probes were the wrong way around. So those data lines look correct. So yeah, it is not the SMC lines, Paul.
How?
I'm going to...
because this is going through silicon. That path involves some silicon device.
Yeah.
That's why there's a directionality to it. Yeah, cool. I was like, if it's a piece of wire, how the hell is there a directionality to a piece of wire? But I realised it's because at some point there is a piece of silicon and you are measuring that.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're measuring through that. Yeah, that's fine.
Right. I'm just hooking up the battery that I took out that seems to not work. I'm just going to hook that up to the battery analyzer, and we'll find out if this battery actually functions or not. Right, which way around? If we flip that over, power is on the left. So I've flipped over, the power is on the right.
Forward.
Yeah, you know that old saying about to really explain something you need to understand it fully, and I reached the edges of my knowledge. Right, output, and then data is in the middle.
Why would you want like 3 or 4 volt capacity on the diode mode? That seems risky as a non-expert. Just because aren't like most data lines and stuff like half a volt or a volt or something like that?
I'm not sure. I know it's desirable to have a higher voltage, but yeah, because some diodes have high breakdown thresholds. Yeah, but like, how could I think what we're getting at is if you've got a multimeter that's doing like 5-volt diode mode, how does that not damage data lines if you try and measure those in diode mode? I think that's the question there. Do you want to switch back to screen view? I'm going to bust out my cider. And I'm going to thog my cider.
Ah, as Paul says, it can.
Oh, I see, yeah.
I see. But also, I guess, because also it's calibrated to 1 milliamp, the actual wattage transferred is very low. So the risk of damage is lower, even if the PD is higher. I presume it's kind of like the idea of the breakdown on processors, you know, with idle voltage being like 1.5 volts, but then load voltage only being like 0.9 volt, just because the actual current, the actual total wattage flowing at idle is very, very low. The actual breakdown is very, very low, whereas under load, when there's a lot of current flow, there's actually a much lower voltage.
Yes.
So I presume it's a similar type of concept.
Yes, that makes sense to me, yeah. Wattage and thermal that does the real damage, yeah. Yeah. All right, so I plugged the battery into my NLBA battery analyzer. I need to do another video about this thing because I've always been a bit on the fence about whether I think the battery analyzer is good value for money or not. But man, I actually use it quite a lot, and I think that's you know, like every time I look at the price of this thing, I'm just like, man, I feel like it's kind of expensive, but I use it a lot, and just straight away, the question of is that battery any good or not has now been answered. Yes, this battery works just fine, because I've plugged it into the analyzer, and that has shown that the battery is at full charge, full health, and is completely responsive, and the cells are fully balanced at 4.1 volts each. So yeah, this battery is A-OK. So the fact that this battery did not seem functional in the laptop is a problem with the laptop, not the battery. Can you discharge the battery and recharge the battery? I'll give it a quick blat just to make sure it doesn't immediately fall over. A full charge cycle will take like 5 hours, so we don't have time for that. But I did a full charge cycle on this one, the original battery for the laptop, yesterday. This battery that just hasn't worked at the start of this stream, I charge cycled this yesterday and it was fine. So I have no reason to believe there's any problem with this one either. But I can go to discharge. Let's go 2 amp discharge, go. And we should see that we can start pulling 2 amps on here.
Does it give you a voltage?
Yeah, so there's full battery voltage in red there.
I will take your word for that.
Is it too small?
There are some squiggles.
Yeah.
I'm going to see if I can do a minor zoom in enhance.
Yeah, see if you can do a really dirty zoom on this, because
I'm going to also just drag that to the top for a second.
I don't.
And then go. There we go.
Beautiful.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah.
Oh yes, right. So this is the current maximum voltage. Yes.
So yeah, we've got the full battery voltage, and then also we've got a breakdown of each cell voltage as well, so we can check if one of the cells had just suddenly sagged down a lot, then that would indicate that one of the cells is buggered.
Yeah.
So even though the average voltage is completely acceptable, if one of the cells was suspiciously low, that would indicate it. But it does actually tell us that our current maximum imbalance is 37 millivolts between cells 1 and 2. And that's well within acceptable parameters. I think 50 millivolt imbalance is when you've got problems. So yeah. But at any rate, yeah, we're pulling 2 amps out of this battery and the voltage is stable. That is just discharging now, and it's doing fine. So yeah, we've pulled a couple of % out of it. So yeah, stop discharging. There are other tests we can do in here, but most of, like the cells check, this has to be done at medium amount. So I think if I do, this will measure this will measure the resistance on each cell, and again this can help tell you if you have a bad cell in the battery. However, I don't think this gives valid readings when the battery is fully charged. So take this with a pinch of salt.
Good night, Paul.
No problem. Thanks for dropping in, Paul. So yeah, possibly, yeah, SysDetect L line, maybe ISL U7100 issues. Yeah, I think this is going to turn into a rabbit hole that we're not going to solve here, but it's interesting to look at least.
So with the battery connected, you can... if there was an issue with the SysDetect L with the battery connected, you'd see that it wasn't pulled down.
Yes, I was going to say the next thing I'm going to try and do is I'm going to connect the battery and manually short SysDetect L again.
Yeah.
And just see, because like that resistor that pulls SysDetect L down low, that might just be dead.
What, it might just not be actually pulling it to ground.
Yeah. Which would mean that the battery isn't activated, or it might be like partially dead or something like that. That's a bit of a stretch, but like these are things that we can look at. So like let's actually measure that resistor and see if it's actually the value it should be. At any rate, there's nothing else to learn from either of these batteries. According to the battery analyzer, they are both doing what they should be doing. So we've no reason to believe that we have faulty batteries right now. So I'm going to go back to the logic board. So SysDetect L connects to R7050. So I'm going to measure that. So I'm going to put the multimeter into resistance mode. R7050 should be a 10K resistor. So I'll search for that in the schematic. So here's the battery connector, and there's... Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, so here's the battery connector, and there is the 10K resistor pulling SysDetect L to ground. And then other stuff you can see we've got the serial clock and data lines, which is the SMC talking to the battery, and then both of those are protected by a dual TVS diode. So if there's any wacky voltages hit those rails, this dual diode will protect the SMC from getting zapped, in theory. However, that should be a 10K resistor. So if you go to the overhead cam, if I measure that, we should see...
Oh, too far.
And it is 10K. Oh, I'll hit that again just for... It's a very small resistor. Yeah, that's a 10K resistor. So that's weird. Why does the battery voltage just go all over the place when it's connected to the laptop?
Is there like a short across the bat?
That's a good question. Let's just check that the output isn't shorted. Nope, that's just open line. So,
which means that the resistance is too high.
Yeah, too high to measure, basically.
Okay.
So yeah,
effectively infinite.
Yeah. What's the problem? No power from battery. Yes, cello floor lamp. Yeah, we have no power from battery at the moment. We know the battery is good. The data lines are measuring correctly. So, yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with this. So, one more time for the record. So, we can measure the voltage at the battery, and disconnected, we get 2.2 volts. And I think that's the battery's like quote unquote standby voltage. This is high enough that the laptop can detect that there is a battery, but it's not on. And if I short SysDetect L, that jumps up to main voltage, which is 12.6. So the battery works and it responds to SysDetect. So if I plug that into the laptop, now we just get nothing. So, like, what's with that? So I'm gonna try stabbing SysDetect L. So let's see what happens if I do that now. There we go. It is a sysdetect L issue. The sysdetect line isn't being shorted to ground, but the resistor measure's okay.
Is the pin misaligned?
Maybe.
So it's not actually connecting?
That's certainly the next thing to think about. So I guess we'll take a closer look at that. Measure the diode drop of the battery to the system FET.
What is the system FET?
So the output from the battery will then go through a MOSFET. So we need to check if that MOSFET is actually behaving in the way that we would expect. But
okay.
Right. Firstly, though, I'm just going to lift the laptop up and stare at it for a sec.
I'm going to go in really close.
Because sometimes there's a lot of mileage in just sticking it right up close to your eyeballs and looking at it. See, another thing that I'm also going to do is I'm going to check if there's actually continuity from the pin on the battery connector to that resistor.
Yeah, that's...
So, yeah. So let's go from the battery pin to that resistor.
I'm channeling Soren. I don't know whether I like that or not. I don't know what that means.
I guess if this was Soren, we'd just run a jumper wire directly from the battery to ground. Or we just short sysdetect L out. Like, actually, that would work. If I just soldered a wire across sysdetect L to ground, this will work.
Does it have to go to ground?
It has to go to ground by some means. And normally you do that through a 10k resistor just to current limit. Like, there's no meaningful current going through sysdetect L, but you never really short anything directly to ground. You always go through a pull-down resistor. So that way...
Why is it L?
L means it's active low. So,
right.
Any signal that ends in L means it's active low. So
I had that the wrong way round.
Yeah, the system is detected when the line goes to 0. So we are pulling it down to ground to indicate that there is activity.
Sorry, I thought it was describing its off state.
Yeah. There is no continuity between the battery connector sysdetect L pin and that resistor, and there should be. Wait, what? Now there is? I measured it and there wasn't. Now there is. Did I just do a bad job of measuring it? Okay.
So why was that 0.2 and not 10k?
Because I wasn't going through the resistor.
Oh, I see. Sorry, I thought you were measuring from the resistor to the pin.
So let's check. So from the pin to the front of the resistor is 0, and then if that like 1 ohm we're seeing, that's probably just probing. Yeah, like if I press really hard, that goes down. Well, I don't.
Now it's 11.
Does it though? Yeah. Is this just bad probing, or has this got a mind of its own?
So if you just got dodgy contact, not dodgy contact, like a dodgy connection in the pin?
Maybe.
So if you wiggle, I guess if you wiggle the pin around, does it change?
I'm wiggling it
yes.
Kind of. Yeah, If I go to the other side of the resistor, we should see about 10k, which we do.
Right, okay.
Yeah. I think that's probing because our contact patch is a fraction of a millimeter square. So I think that's just probing. So yeah.
So is there a problem in the connector? Because that bit there looks different to me than the rest of the pins.
Let's try another test. I'm not sure what I'm expecting to see from this, but I'm going to check what is the voltage at sysdetect L when it's not connected. We should see a small voltage there. Oh, it kind of fluctuates. I don't know what that's actually supposed to be, so that doesn't tell me anything. However, if you look at the bottom of the If you look at the bottom of the multimeter at the little the bar graph at the bottom of the screen, that's kind of pulsing, and that usually means there's some kind of wave signal or something like that there. So we might not have it might just be pulsing the signal
Right.
To,
and it doesn't have the response time to actually show that.
So that isn't that's not a good reading, is what that tells me. Okay, right. I'm kind of tempted to just try shorting out sysdetect L and just to see what the laptop does. Because if the laptop works under those conditions, then that tells us that this is to do with sysdetect L. So, right. Okay, so how am I going to do that? What's the...
It's the easiest way not to just open the laptop.
Doing it with some tweezers there, I'm not going to be able to hold it steady enough. I'm kind of tempted to just very quickly just tack a wire across there and just see if it works. That's not a permanent solution, but if I tack a wire across and just bridge out sysdetect L and the laptop works normally, that tells us that we're actually looking in the right place. Whereas if that doesn't work, that means all of this faffing about with sysdetect L is a waste of time, and I'm in the wrong place. That's what I'm thinking of right now.
So, if the output isn't connected on the battery, is the quote-unquote input connected? So if a battery is not supplying 12 volts, can it receive charge?
I'm not I don't think so.
Okay.
But
because
I'm
I
not
was just
sure.
trying to work out how that battery could have been charging, receiving current, but the percentage not going up. Because if the
Yeah.
output wasn't on, the laptop wouldn't have seen the voltage going up.
I don't know. I think
But
it might have
then
been
also-
a communication issue. I think it might have actually been charging because, like, the new battery, that's fully charged. So when
Yeah,
I
that's
left
what
it
I'm
on,
saying.
when I left it on charge, it did actually charge up, but the laptop wasn't reading the values out of the battery, which again suggests that this is a communication issue.
As Reploid says, you hold the pin, let Caradog press the button.
Yeah, it'll be too janky to be a valid result. Right, I'm going to quickly just tack a wire across there. I'm just going to carry it over here and do it. Oop. I'm just going to I'm going to go over here and just do it here because by the time I've messed about bringing a soldering station over, it'll be too late. So, give me but a moment, folks.
Butter moments. Just do what everyone else does. Inject power with a LiPo to a random point on the board and count how many sparks you get.
Who is it that's saying that?
Guess.
Yeah, this is why.
No sigh.
Yeah, this is why I had that rant in the exclusive chat room this week, because everyone on the latest video, everyone was just like, "Why didn't you inject power right away?" And I'm like, "Because then no one learns anything."
But no one learns anything anyway.
I soldered the solder wire to the wire.
I soldered my wire to my wire. Ha ha. We're not here to learn, we're here to complain.
It's true. All right. It is done. Okay. So, if you switch back to the overhead, zoom. So I've just put this little wire on the battery, and that's bridging sysdetect L to ground. So the battery is now just other way around. The battery is now just permanently live. So there's our there we go. So there's our 12.6 volts from the battery. So the battery is now just permanently hot, and neither the laptop nor the battery has any means to switch off the battery. So this is not inherently unsafe per se. We've just removed one of the safety features of the battery.
But if a fuse went, the output would still turn off.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is still a fuse in place. But also, I don't think, sysdetect L does go to other places. It goes to page 68, apparently. I'm going to do, actually, I want to search for sysdetect L in the schematic and actually just... I've not actually asked this question before, but where else does sysdetect L go? Because apparently it goes to other places. Maybe it does go to the SMC or the ISL chip. Right, it goes there, then next.
The J7050 is the charge controller, isn't it?
Yes, I believe so. Page 51. That's there. I don't know. Not sure, actually. It's not clear. I'd have to sit and trawl through the schematic. Let's just turn this on and see what it does.
Send it.
All right. All right, I'm just going to see if the laptop is in a state of being alive. Whoop.
What?
Yeah, we have PP bus G3 hot. So the laptop is receiving power from the battery. And once again, previously when we connected the battery, it went dead. Whereas now we are getting power from the battery while it is plugged in, and we have PP bus G3 hot. So the laptop is apparently ready to turn on. So I'm going to try and turn it on. Power button. Nothing happened, but I think it won't on this one. I'm going to grab the chipmunk so I can tell when it's turned on or not. Right, it is currently off. Oh, that seems a bit weird. So when I try and turn it on, we get a little tiny flash out of the chipmunk and then it dies. So it's not happy. So I'm now beginning to think, I want to probe PP bus G3 hot while I press the power button and see if it conks out. There we go. Right, and when I push the power button, no, that stays stable. Yeah, something in there's not happy. All right, what happens if I, will the charger reach over here? If we go around the back of you. What's the voltage from PP bus to the battery? Good question. Right, no, that's not going to reach. I'm going to get an extension lead. Stand by, everyone. I'm flying by the seat of my pants on this repair. I don't really know what I'm doing. What can I unplug? No.
Yes, floor lamp says to measure the voltage from PP bus to the battery. If there's a difference of 0.6 volts, the battery to system FET isn't active.
So where's PP bus G3 hot getting its power from, if that's the case? But yeah, I'll check that in just a sec. I'm just going to get this charger on hand. All right. The charger.
Through the body diode, hence the drop.
Oh, I see.
I'm glad you do.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So a MOSFET. MOSFETs have, or they behave as if they have a diode built in across them. They don't actually have a diode. If my understanding is correct, MOSFETs don't actually have an internal diode across them, but they behave as if they do. That's just the nature of how the physics in them works. And so even if the MOSFET is not functioning, power can still flow through it as diode drop, as just a zombie thing.
Okay.
So the MOSFET is not actually functioning the way it should, but power can still get through it. In the same way that if you break down a door, light will shine through the doorway. The door doesn't work anymore, but you can still shine a light through it. But it can no longer control access, you know. And so that might be what's going on here, which is why we're seeing some power flowing through it, but it's not actually functioning in the manner intended.
So does that effectively infer that it can't actually supply much current?
Potentially, yes, or at the very least there is enough of a fault that the laptop is refusing to turn on because there are additional faults, and this is a way that we could detect the presence of those additional faults. So, all right, so I'm going to disconnect the battery.
It's okay. It ultimately
That's a terrible analogy. Yeah.
It always goes back to doors.
Yeah, it is a terrible analogy, but you come up with a better analogy, Floor Lamp.
I mean, he probably will do in his third language.
MOSFETs can only block the current in one direction. Okay. Right.
So which? Oh, so this is this would be the MOSFET going from the laptop to the battery, as opposed to the battery to the laptop, which is why it can pass power from the battery to the laptop.
Yeah, on a on a MacBook, on most laptops there is a MOSFET there is a battery charging MOSFET and a battery power MOSFET. So there's one for each direction. However, MacBooks, I believe, do it with a single MOSFET. Yeah, so that's one to look for. But if you switch to the schematic view, we can have a look here. So here's our battery connector, and here's our positive connector. So if we follow that through to the other side of the board, here is the MOSFET that then connects to. And then that goes to PP-VBAT charger regulated. So the question now is this guy dead and we're just seeing, and this guy may be dead and it is only blocking current in one direction. Now, so I need to measure, right, where did he say to measure?
Voltage from PP bus to the battery.
Oh, voltage from PP bus to the battery. Okay, so let's go to diode mode. And then we're going to go, so red probe
It's going to be 0 because the battery's not plugged in.
I'm going to go to the battery connector.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're going to check diode drop. What the hell does that mean?
It means bench hand with face.
It started low and it's just slowly increasing. That's not how diode mode works.
No,
oh,
it won't be dead.
Voltage.
It wouldn't be told to activate. No, I mean the actual voltage.
Oh. Well, yeah, that was 12.6. I measured that. We had power at... Oh, I see. Yes, I understand. Yeah, so not the voltage in reference to ground, but yeah, okay, right. So
the difference between the battery and PP bus G3 hot.
Okay, so that to that. We sure? Let's just do a ground check. 12.6 from the battery, and right, so from the battery to PP bus G3 hot is 0. So that to me,
why was there 12 volt difference?
That 12. So this is the voltage from PP bus G3 hot to ground.
Oh, I see.
And this is relative to the battery output, which is 0, which means we are not seeing any kind of voltage drop through the MOSFET, which means the MOSFET is functioning. It is on. So yeah, it is being told to activate. So yes. So yeah. So that is functioning correctly then. Okay, right. So I'm going to plug in the charger and see what it does. I'm going to because what I want to know now is, because the laptop is apparently getting power from the battery. Can it detect the battery? Right, the laptop is turned on with the charger. We have fan spin. Right, we'll let this start up. This has a clean install of macOS, so there is no user data here. This is kind of an interesting fault to me because I haven't actually sat down and tried to wrap my head around faults like this before. Because I've always managed to avoid having to deal with this kind of fault. But that is also a massive gap in my knowledge, which is why I'm struggling now.
Was the diode drop of the SM bus lines normal? Yes.
Correct, yeah.
It was 0.53.
Yeah.
And
schematics indicate it should be 0.51, which is close enough.
yeah.
Update the firmware to turn off battery check. Yeah. I mean, one thing I could also do, I could see if I could try and hook up my, I've got a CMI Zapper known good battery, and the known good battery will tell us if it is successfully communicating with the SMC. So that might give us additional information as to what the problem is. Pleh.
Pleh.
That's the E on the end. Pleh.
Eon.
What's the blackcurrant cider like? It's nice. Yeah, I'm enjoying this actually.
It's nice.
You can't really taste the ciderness in it. It doesn't taste alcoholic.
Ah, excellent. It's fruit juice.
Yeah. It is... This might sound like a really stupid thing to say, but it tastes more like a flavoured cider, if you see what I mean. As opposed to cider with a fruity twist, if you see what I mean. I don't know what I'm trying to describe. It's nice though, I'm enjoying it.
However, yes. Hello, Dave. It is a MacBook.
Hello. Yep, MacBook. MacBook that does not detect batteries. I'm kind of tempted to plug in the other battery because I'm sure it was detecting the other battery. So I'm kind of tempted to see what happens if we do that. However, this is not detecting the battery, and if I pull out the charger now, it dies again, even though we know it's getting power
Why
from
are
the
the
battery.
lights still on the
But then
chipmunk?
also the lights are still on.
Why are the lights on the chipmunk?
What does this mean? The fan is still spinning. The lights are still on. It's still active. Why did the screen go out? What the hell is this behaviour?
What?
I
have a solution to you.
Okay, it has now turned off. What?
Post it to Dave. This is your problem now. Goodbye.
Oh, this makes no sense. Okay, right. I'm going to get the other battery. I think at this point, I think at this point we need to actually start. Yeah, but so it won't run on the battery and it won't detect the battery. That is the fault description. Right. So firstly, I'm going to take this battery out. I'm going to get the other battery and I'm going to check if it can detect that because I'm sure it was able to detect the other battery.
Does the voltage on PP bus change with the charger plugged in?
Stand by and I will tell you that. So, everything is disconnected. PP bus is draining, so it's nil. Connect battery. For the record, Dave, we also have sysdetect L issues. I've currently bridged out sysdetect L to make the battery do anything at all. Right, so battery only. We have 12.59, which is normal. And then with a charger, we have fan spin. It has turned on. 12.57. So I would say that's no difference. I'm going to get the other battery. I'm also going to just, well, I'll leave that wire on there for now. I don't know what any of this means. I'm kind of stabbing wildly at the moment.
It
However,
means it's all nonsense.
yeah.
It's
However,
nonsense, I tell you.
right. Where's the other battery? Oop.
Tell them that you'll upgrade them to a nice latitude. Have a nice upgrade for you. It's a latitude.
Right. Third-party battery. I'm also just going to check if this battery is respecting sysdetect L. Good enough? Right. And the answer to that is... yes, it is respecting sysdetect L. All right. Right. Battery is connected. $12.
Yeah, but that's 12.3,
Yeah.
not 12.5.
Yeah. So this is the low voltage that Dave was looking for. That is power, but no SMC. The SMC is not running.
So if you do PP bus to battery hot, is this where we'll get the 0.6?
I don't think so, but I'll check it. Negative. No. No response there. Have we got PP3V42, which is there, I think? Nope, I've forgotten where it is. I can't remember where PP3V42 is on this board. PP3V42. Other side. There. Okay.
Whoop. 500 volts? What? Oh, millivolts.
It's probably millivolts, yeah. Yeah, we have PP3V42. All right. Okay, so now if I plug in the charger, let's see how it behaves. We're getting different behaviors between batteries. And again, this supports that the batteries... because we're not getting consistent results between the batteries, that again makes me believe that there's oddities here. Right, it has powered on, and we now have 12.52. That's a little low, but it's powered on, so okay, whatever, I guess. Might need a power cycle
to see the screen.
Yeah, oh, there it goes, yeah. It powered on while the screen was closed, so it had to get far enough into startup for it to detect if the screen should be awake or not. Oh, I didn't check if the battery was there then. Right. Yeah, so we have a battery indicator now. If this just works, I'm going to be livid. Battery 100%. Okay.
Right. So if you pull out the adapter.
And also, if I'm just going to go to system report and just check if I can talk to the battery. Power, battery, cycle count 400%. Charging, yes, it's at like 99%, so yeah, irrelevant. All right, so, I might have been getting punked here. Yesterday, this battery didn't work.
Was it possible it just wasn't plugged in properly?
Maybe. However, what we've learned is I think this has been a waste of time.
So what happens if you unplug the battery, plug the battery back in, will it turn on? Not with the power in.
Yeah. I can try that. Sometimes MacBooks, if you've unplugged the battery, they want to see a charger to
Really?
wake up.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Sometimes. I haven't figured out what the... Yeah. Bad battery and pranks. Yeah. See, it still begs the question, why didn't this battery work when it's providing power? And when I plug this battery into the analyzer can talk to it just fine. But also, this battery has been liquid damaged, so like it's completely untrustworthy anyway. So, to an extent, we don't really care. Don't forget, you still got the jump. Yeah, the jumper wire is on this battery, which is the old battery, which, yeah.
Was not the battery that was used yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. So
Dave says, has a look at sensors in iStatus menus.
Yes, I will acquire that momentarily. All right, fine. So let's power it down and see if it'll power back up again. Shut down. All right. I think I'm getting punked here. I think this is solved, and I think I've been wasting everyone's time. And I think that battery just has weird issues, and that's not surprising because it was liquid damaged. So, like, are we really surprised? We could start asking questions like, what's wrong with it? But also, we don't care because it's an old battery. So, right, the laptop is now off. I will now try turning it on again.
Are the pins supposed to be at different heights?
Yeah, the pins are slightly different sizes on the connector.
Oh, okay.
It's to do with making sure that certain pins connect first when you hot plug it, basically. This is fine. The battery punked me yesterday, so I thought this battery had problems. I should have tried this battery at the start of the stream. That's really frustrating. This is why videos get thrown out. If I was recording this as a video, this is the point where I'd go, stop recording, delete footage. I'd be like, this was a waste of everyone's time. We looked at schematics, and that was kind of interesting, but like, what's the lesson here, other than you should probably test the battery more than once, you know? The real fix is the friends you made along the way. And all the viewers who are now immediately tuning out because this was a waste of time. Whatever. Yep. Let's get iStat menus and see what those say. I'll have to quickly download it because this is a clean install of macOS. Sending me a DM relevant to one of the suggestions. Could you check my DUMs on the Discords? Oh, I have a ping but not a DUM. Right. iStat menu. Reject cookies. Download.
Oh, I see.
What are we looking at? Oh, I see. That's the... Oh, as a... Aha, yes, very good. I'll get the demo for a moment first. This is something I've been meaning to sort, but I haven't needed to yet. But certainly some of the recent things, I don't use iStat menus a lot. However, sure.
Imagine not having Nitro. Ugh.
Bleh. Right. I don't use iStat menus a lot. However, recently I've been using them more because one of the powers of having the iStat menus on is because it gives you a really nice readout of all of the sensors in the laptop. It helps you find what sensor isn't working. So...
Oh, so it'll tell you, like...
There we go. That's
not detecting trackpad, hence limp mode.
Exactly. Exactly that.
I see.
Right, okay.
Well, that's
so
kind of cool. I'm going to see if I can do a bit of a zoom.
Yes.
To read some of those numbers.
Right, okay, so here's the iStat menus. Have a look at sensors. So, what are we expecting to be...
Oh, it gives you a lux number from the ambient light sensor. That's kind of cool.
What would we be looking for here, Moeto? Well, there's charger battery monitor. So is that 800 milliamps? So is this battery draw? Is that current from the battery in that case? Because that's beam on. So that I assume is showing us the current going in or out of the battery.
Battery sensors for comms, which are up.
Yes, that's fair. Yeah.
I enjoy the fact that the CPU package power is apparently 2.2 watts, and it's at 50 Celsius.
Apple.
Also, that there are 2 cores.
Yeah. What is this again? It's
a late 2013, apparently.
Oh yeah, yeah. That. Yeah.
Oh God, it's 11 years old. How horrifying.
Yeah. That's the thing. That I keep seeing these now, and it's like, are they worth? Are these laptops worth persisting with? It's over a decade old. That should be below minimum spec now. If this was any other brand, I would instantly go, no, it's a decade old. We're not fixing this. But apart from when you're trying to run like a Twitch stream or something like that, they're
apart from
fine.
When you're trying to use the modern web.
Yeah.
Also, the fact that they don't support modern Office.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Because they only go
if I
up to
plug in the
10,
charger.
10, 11.
There we go. And now we have DC in current as well. Okay, fine. Right, is this thing still in limp mode now? I would say no. This actually feels responsive. I think I was just getting punked by this yesterday. I don't know what the hell was going on. Maybe the laptop was just being pissy with me, because I plugged in this battery and it was not indicating charge to the battery, and the laptop was definitely in limp mode because it was just slow. Whereas now it seems completely fine. This is why I thought that there were problems with it, because now it's fine, but yesterday it was not fine with this battery connected, and now it is. So I think this battery punked me, and I should have tested it at the start of the stream before I delved into a rabbit hole of trying to make the old battery work. So
SSD sleep mode. Why would SSD sleep mode stop a battery from being detected?
Well, we do have a third-party SSD connected with an adapter.
But why would that stop the battery from powering on?
Yeah, I don't know. Where was the SSD sensor is missing? What's going on there? Yeah, so we've got a third-party battery. Let's see if it will sleep.
SSD?
Yes, yeah. Sleep. Oh, hang on a sec. Let me try that again. I very quickly pressed the caps lock key there because obviously I want to know when it actually goes to sleep. Sleep.
Dun, 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 dun.
I don't know if the chipmunk will stop it from going to sleep. I'm going to unplug the chipmunk and rely on... Right, caps lock light key has gone out. And we have fan stop. And wake. Yeah, no, it's sleeping and waking. So, yeah, it might be that it's having issues reading certain sensors from the SSD. However, it is sleeping and waking. So, yeah. SSD is a Crucial P2, which I know is a slightly older drive, but I bought the P2 just because I know that the P2 reliably works with basically any of the M.2 adapters. And I was originally I was in a hurry when I was buying these, and I wanted to get it out the door. So I said, I'm going to buy an older P2 because I know it will definitely work because I've used these before.
Oh, I see.
Whereas the P3, I think, which is the current one, the P3 only works with certain adapters, and I can never remember which adapter is the one that always works. Whereas I know the P2 will work with basically any adapter, and that's why I chose that one. So, very dirty screen. Yeah, it's got damage to the anti-glare coating on it, which is why it looks dirty. So yeah, okay. I think we're done with this.
I'm done with you.
Yeah. This is fine. I'm done. Right. All right. Shut down. You have wasted my time and everyone else's time. You are functional. I'm going to put this.
That's high praise for 2024.
Yeah. I'm going to stick all the screws back into this. I've got to do a little bit of tidying up on it next week, which is just, I don't have any data to...
Ivy Bridge and Hardwell still have great functionality.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe in
on
like a desktop with a modern graphics card.
Yeah, if you've got a desktop with a graphics card in it, sure. However, in these laptops where you're using the integrated graphics, if you run up a Twitch stream, it's decoding in CPU. And a Twitch stream just puts like 80% load on the CPU just with Twitch running.
Yeah.
It depends on what you're doing, but there are just certain tasks which will just tank the CPU.
They also just don't run modern versions of Office.
Yeah, and that as well.
Which
so
arguably means that they are no longer fit for purpose because they can't be rolled out in a managed environment.
Yeah, it's really weird. There are some things where they're absolutely fine, and there are other things where you'll be like, what the hell? This isn't a tall order. Why are you so slow? They're very strange.
Yeah,
so
my one is an early 2013, and it cannot render the desktop at 4K. The desktop environment lags out to sub 20 FPS connected to a 4K display.
Yeah.
So it's just a case of, it just doesn't function to me, just connected to a 4K monitor. The entire environment on both displays just lags out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just kind of a case of it's like, that to me is unfortunately just not overly usable. So yeah.
Okay, right, well, that's frustrated me. However, I hope we, it was an adventure, I suppose, of just looking at how the battery connects to and talks to the motherboard.
Yeah.
So hopefully there was some value in that. I'm slightly annoyed. Stuff like this makes me anxious, because where that was just a case of I got punked by the battery, I feel like I wasted everyone's time, and that's frustrating. So, but sometimes there was still value. We did have a look at things. We did have a look at how to approach looking at these kinds of problems, but ultimately it just turned out to be a rubbish battery.
Yeah.
So, but interestingly, it's a rubbish battery that looks like it works. Because, like I said, I bet I could plug that into the battery analyzer, and it will be fine.
Yeah.
And in fact, I'm going to do that again. I'm going to find out if I'm actually going insane or not. I'm going to connect that to the battery analyzer.
Do we understand the way MVDC works now? No, I wouldn't say I understand anything.
I do. I'm still not. I still need to I still want to make a video talking about it, and I think when I make a video explaining it, that's when I will truly have understood it, because the moment when you explain something properly is the moment where in your mind you have now crossed the threshold of truly understanding it.
I know nothing. All I know is how little I know.
Yeah. Mike Jones says, no, it was a good lesson. Sometimes you repair things, stuff like this happens. Yeah. Thanks for the moral support. I feel dumb. However, also, this is the reality of trying to do this. It's just sometimes this happens, and you feel very stupid. But, yeah. YouTube is a highlight reel. Remember that, everyone. YouTube's a highlight reel.
How far do you have to go on the MacBooks to get USB 3? Is it late 2013 onwards?
Late 2012.
Oh, was it late 2012?
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, the late unibody, the 2012 unibodies had USB 3.
Right, okay. And they were the last ones that had non-soldered RAMs?
Yeah, that was the last of the unibodies. So, yeah. Right. I think I've got my... That's on there. That is that way around. That should turn on. Yeah, okay, right. Let's see, data in the middle.
Capture.
Clock on the right. And we've bridged out sysdetect L on that one. Right.
Yeah, as Sai says, tons of repairs are 5-second fixes. It's the 2 days finding the right 5 seconds.
Yeah, see, look at that. This one reads it just fine.
What is the orange thing?
That's charging current, which is reading 0, but it's 0 because the battery's at 100%, so there's nothing going on there. I'm not sure why it's throwing up a 0 for that, because we're not charging it, so it shouldn't be anything other than 0. unless it's supposed to be like 10 milliamps idle or something like that. But yeah, like let's just try and let's start a discharge on that. Discharging the battery, and our current is dropping, because where we're discharging we're in minus current, which is how we're interpreting it. But yeah, this battery works. This is why I'm confused about it.
I wonder if the controller doesn't work in a way that the laptop is happy with.
Yeah, maybe the battery analyzer is interfacing with the battery in a different way to how the laptop is, or the laptop is seeing something that it is not happy with, but the battery analyzer doesn't care about, or something like that.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can think of. But yeah. All right. Fair enough. Yeah. I might... No, there's nothing to learn. I was going to say I could leave this discharging and then try charging it again, but I did that yesterday, and it was fine. Yeah. Who knows? I don't know. I've stopped caring. Let's move on to something else.
Okay.
So
Go
there.
then.
Yeah. That's what I think of that. All right. Ba-da-ba-da-ba. All right, I put the screws in that. I'm going to put that to one side.
Have you put the screws in that?
I have.
Excellent.
I'll put the screws to it. Cool. All right. Well, in that case, I'm going to unbox my latitudes and see if any of those are crap. And we can have conversations about technology, perhaps, perchance. Battery wasn't connecting properly. That's, yeah, maybe, Marcel, but... You know, we connected and disconnected it a lot of times, and when we plug in a different battery, it worked first time. So really strange. Although just maybe yesterday when I tried it and it didn't work, that was just a one-time thing when it wasn't connected properly, and I just neglected to check it. That certainly makes sense. So odd. Yeah. I had to remove 37 screws to access and disconnect the battery connector, and now the screen works. What was this on?
Tablet.
Samsung tablet. Ugh. I've been doing PlayStation 5 HDMI ports this week, and the PS5. Once you've taken the motherboard, once you've got down to the motherboard, the cover plate on the motherboard that you need to remove has 42 screws in it. It's nuts. Right, that one arrived. We don't have a charger for that one, but I have one in stock. It was advertised as not having a charger. So I want to look at these laptops and just check their overall condition, because I kind of ordered these in a hurry. I kind of just rolled the dice and hoped for the best. So I basically just want to have a look at all of them and just see if any of them have screaming issues that are going to make me want to send them back. I think that one's the one that I'm most worried about, because I think I paid like £118 for that, which is suspiciously cheap. But
do they only open that far?
yeah, they don't have massive hinges on them. Although I thought they went a bit further than that.
Oh no. Okay.
Oh yeah. I was going to say that. Yeah, they're not exactly 180, these ones, but
Well, no, I just expected it to be usable on a desk. I was like, the fuck is this? Oh, has it got the hello camera?
oh yes, that one has the fancy camera on it. That looks really slick as well, that hello camera. It's really thin. I like it.
No bootable devices.
Oh, has it got no do you just want to take the back panel off of that and see if it's got an SSD in it? I think it might just have no operating system installed, but if there's no SSD, I'll be a bit vexed.
It lifts up the laptop.
Yeah, gives you a slight incline.
Ah, I see. Oh, that's quite nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that one was advertised as no battery, no operating system, but I'm 99% certain it was advertised as does have an SSD in it. So.
Are these captive, these ones?
Yes. I believe all the screws are captive.
As opposed to just 3 of them.
Yeah. Right. That's got a mark above the E key, but that's fine.
E.
E, 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 E. Yeah, there's a knack to that. I fall off of screws all the time.
You saw nothing.
There's got a scratch on the bottom of it, but no one's going to see that. That's fine.
You've got some dents on the corner of this, or not dents, scratches on the corner of this one.
Whereabouts?
Just there.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I was like, there are some marks.
Yes.
I would
Yeah.
describe this still as A grade.
That's right. Marks are fine. Like that one's got a slight that's got a slight chip out of the bottom panel there.
Oh, that's a bit of a shame. But
yeah.
it's also the bottom.
Yeah. Like when I sell these to customers, I say to them, you are buying a used laptop. It is going to have marks on it. However, obviously, we don't mind the odd mark here or there, but if it's got a gash across the top lid, that's kind of a shame, really,
Yeah.
Any damage near the charging port? Not that I can see. There's no scuffs around the charge port.
The SSD is a
this one's
stupid
missing.
little thing, isn't it?
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah, it does have an SSD. Good.
It has one RAM module.
Oh, that battery's wrecked. Look at that battery.
Oh,
That's unfortunate.
that is the puffy.
Wah, wah, wah. Oh, that's no bueno. Yeah, that's got to come out.
Also, what's missing from there? It's just a thing not there.
I don't know.
Does that just go? Huh,
Yeah.
it does.
This one's missing both of its bottom feet, but that's, again, a shame, but not a deal breaker. Whoop. You vinyl wrap I vinyl wrap for the gash ones. Yeah, I don't like doing that, but it's better than nothing. Yeah, it's not something I do, but I've seen it, and I can see how it is a solution. It keeps a laptop going that is otherwise fine.
Huh, they're squidgy.
Forbidden stress toy. Right. This looks fine. Okay. I guess I should probably check the batteries on the rest of these. Oh, that's a bummer about that. So that one's going to need a new battery. But that's not the end of the world. However, it does mean that I need to order a battery for it. Although I might see... no, it's a 5400. I'm just going to check if I've got... I don't think I have... I don't know if the 5400 battery fits. Although I don't even think I have a 5400 battery. There's a pile of a dead 5400 down here.
Show camera? 1 second.
No.
Bench cam.
Ooh.
Na 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 na.
Oh, for the yeah.
Da, 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 da.
That's definitely a hello camera, I think. Whoop. I'm going to check the batteries on the rest of these.
Wah.
Should be the 60 watt hour battery and not the 68 watt hour battery. Elaborate.
This is a 60 watt hour battery.
Oh, I see. Does the 5400 have a 68 watt hour in it or something? Would you sell any working motherboards of broken chassis that you can use as cheap servers? Not really, because if you've got a broken chassis, I would replace the chassis. If you have a good motherboard, it is almost 100% worth saving the rest of the device. The only reason why you wouldn't save the device is because the motherboard is gone, really. Yeah, that battery is flat, so... All right. By flat, I mean it's not puffed.
Do you get only partial hello cameras then?
Not that I'm aware of.
Just because Sai's saying it's the full hello, does that infer there is a partial hello?
Yeah. Elaborate.
Oh, look, it's got a big one.
Yeah, it's kind of luck of the draw what kind of SSD you get in these. This does not look like it's the original SSD. But yeah, they all come with just 256 gig SSDs, which is fine. It's an Intel one, which is kind of interesting.
Okay. I thought you were going to say it's a Kung Pao.
No, thankfully not. Okay, right. I'm going to shove this into I'm going to start putting these SSDs, taking out these SSDs so I can bash my Windows image onto them. Whoop. Start getting another one out while I wait.
You have the hello camera and the hi camera. What's the benefit of a hello camera? Simply that it gives you the
facial recognition.
Effectively the facial recognition for the Windows Hello sign in and all things. So you don't need to use a password on it. You can just use the face scanning.
Yeah.
To replace a pin or something like that.
And it's pretty cozy, to be honest, because you open your laptop and it just automatically logs in. You don't have to enter a password or a pin. It's a genuinely useful feature, I think.
It's a shame that you can't get more desktop cameras for that.
Yeah.
Because that was only that one Logitech one that I remember seeing.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that that's not a thing, but also I think it's just because, broadly speaking, people don't care about webcams on desktops. There might also be an issue with just security. Perhaps you can't secure a Hello camera over USB, because if it's an authentication device, but then also, like, you could have a USB attached smart card reader for authentication, couldn't you?
As far as you're aware, yeah.
Yeah.
But also, isn't the webcam connected over USB?
Possibly, I suppose, but also it's internal, so it's a lot harder. It's an awful lot more work to compromise that, whereas if it's a desktop computer, it's trivial to just plug in a compromised webcam to the USB port.
Yeah.
Perhaps. Yeah.
Sure.
It's terrible. Those customers never write down their PIN. Yeah, but also that's... But you could say the same thing about PIN numbers, where people who have Windows PIN numbers don't know their Microsoft password. So by that argument, the PIN is no better.
My number!
Yeah. Shush.
I shall not.
Shut. I had to figure out very carefully how to... When I've been using the Chipmunk in recent videos, I had to say, this displays activity on the USB bus, which is obviously the Universal Serial Bus.
Yes.
So I had to be like, this shows activity on the USB port. That was the phrasing I figured out that rolled off the tongue, but also wouldn't immediately anger everyone. And had give me a lot of pedantic caradogs in the comments going, yes, your USB bus. Your US bus.
Why wouldn't you just say it measures activity on the US bus?
Because that sounds weird. It's like my PI number. No one says PI number.
Or why not? It just measures activity on the USB.
Yeah, but also like the USB what? You feel like there needs to be something else on the end of that sentence.
It measures USB activity.
Yeah.
Time for a portable appliance test.
All right. Biometric authentication is ridiculously insecure anyways. Yeah, this is true, but I mean, this gets into a broader conversation about convenience and stuff. Like, biometric authentication is secure enough for the average person, I think.
As far as I'm aware, it's also actually secure on mobile devices, like on your mobile phone.
Yeah. However, on a laptop or desktop computer, I would say no, and that I think is the reason why we're not seeing a lot of webcams that can do this, because, like I say, I just don't think that they are meaningfully secure without probably a lot of effort and expense, because you would have to create... The webcam would have to interface with... with a trusted platform module, wouldn't it? Because the webcam...
Which itself is apparently massively insecure.
Yeah, but at the very least, even if we pretend that TPM has any kind of security, or like on a modern computer, that we're going to assume that that's going to be FTPM, which is going to be more secure because that's harder to get to. But still, the webcam is going to have to interface with that and pair with it, because otherwise you could just plug in a compromised webcam or something. I don't know. I'm talking out my ass here. I'm just theorizing and buying time until someone who knows more about this goes, here's the answer in chat. Okay, right. I kind of want to know how much RAM these have in as well. 8 gigabytes, that's fine.
4 gigabytes.
Yeah, that's what
not
I'm
fine.
looking for, basically. I'm just double checking that we don't have any 4 nerds.
This one only has a single module.
Yeah, see, this one's got 2 in it. It seems to be luck of the draw.
This is an 8.
Good. So is this going to be 2 4s? No, this has got an 8 and another 8. Yeah, that's got 16 in it. So what
It's
I'm
had 16 in it.
yes, I was going to say what I'm actually going to do now immediately is drop that down to 8. I'm actually going to put 2 4s in that because I don't have any 8 gigabyte modules. So I'm going to swap that out to 2 4s. Because the last time I bought a load of RAM modules, I was buying 4 gigabyte modules, but based on recent events, I found that 8 gigabyte modules seem to be the desirable ones now, because anything that I'm upgrading, I'm either upgrading it from 8 to 16, in which case I want an additional 8 gig module, or if it's a cheap laptop that only has 4 gigabytes of RAM in it, it probably only has a single RAM slot, so I'm going to need an 8 gig module as well there.
Yeah.
So I've actually discovered that 4 gig modules have become useless, so now I'm trying to bury them in the second-hand laptops. Me fobbing off all the crap RAM into second-hand laptops.
Have you got more
Say
4
this
gig
so-
that you want to stick in this one?
Oh, did that one have 6?
That's got a single 8
Oh,
module.
I see. Yes. I don't think so. I think those were the last 4 gigabyte modules I had. Oh, actually, I've got 4 gig modules in that one down there. Yeah, let's fob those off as well. At the end of the day, when you're in this game, you want to keep trying to cycle out all of your worst hardware at any available opportunity, because the worst case scenario is you have to buy some more 4 gigabyte modules. It's better to have it's better to have good parts in stock. Oh, yeah, you can do that.
Yes, I am capable.
Shut. All right.
I shall not.
Stick that in there. Good. All right. Whoop.
So what's the likelihood of this actually being a Dell motherboard, if that makes sense, in the sense of Dell designing it?
So Floorlamp would probably know the answer to that. I think they're all Compal designed anyway. I don't. Does anyone know the answer to this? Oh, Xeor apparently.
Xeor?
Yeah.
Who the hell is Xeor?
I haven't even heard of them, if I'm honest. Yeah. So how does this work? Do they develop the board, or like does Dell go to Quanta, Compal, Invitec? Oh, Xero. I'm not sure. Okay, so Quanta, Compal, and Inventec then. So would Dell go to that company and say, here are the specifications for the laptop we want to make. Please design a motherboard to these specifications. Or does Dell sort of, you know, does it work on a commission basis like that?
Yeah, Dell specifies requirements, board manufacturer designs according to that.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
Ha! Zero chance Dell did it.
Oh, Xero. Yes, I see what you mean. Yeah. Yeah, because that's the thing, is it always begs the question, when you see something dumb on a motherboard, whose fault is that? That's sort of the point of interest, I think.
Yeah, Apple, Clevo, MSI make their own stuff.
Oh, interesting. Okay, yeah. Yeah, that's an 8 gig module as well. All right. Good.
Why you... Oh, I see.
Yeah, I'm just... oh, I forgot to put these in there. I'm just collecting SSDs out because I will bash my Windows image onto these SSDs. Oh, can we have the SSD out of the one with the crap battery as well? I can at least get Windows on it, so it's got... so it just has a useful Windows install on it. Oop. Thank you. What I might do is... no, it's fine. Okay. There might be a couple of screws there, so double check it. Yeah, that's fine. All right.
That was more just the fact of the screwdriver couldn't undo the screw.
Ah, yeah. That will
What
happen.
is this? An SSD for ants? It's tiny.
40mm. Right, restore complete disk from images.
That's madness.
Right, old backups.
They can't make the SSDs any smaller, although otherwise they won't be able to fit all the logos on the back.
Restore. All right. Huh.
Lenovo gets boards from LCFC, which is actually just Compal. Oh.
Time to check batteries. Yeah, I should probably check what condition the others are in.
These are all Latitude 7400s. Do they have SSD heatsinks?
Yesn't. They that one doesn't, but oh no, it does. It's got that tiny little plate on it. Yeah, that was supposed to have come off. So yeah, they have a tiny little plate basically. A heatsink would be a bit of a stretch. I guess you could call it a heat spreader. But yeah. Let's see, battery information. Health is excellent. Good. And contender number 2.
Gladiator.
I need to watch an episode of the new Gladiators show because apparently it's excellent.
I thought you were going to say, so you may judge it incessantly.
Yeah, apparently it is camp in all the best ways. It is just as camp and ridiculous and fun as the original. We are the gladiators. This one doesn't turn on, so maybe the battery is flat. I'm going to find a Dell charger.
There was a Type-C one.
These are barrel jack.
I mean, it has Type-C charging on the side. I presume.
Oh,
By
yeah.
the fact there's a lightning bolt next to the Type-C.
Next to the Type-C. I'll lightning bolt your Type-C in a minute. Either way, they need a charger, so I've picked up this one. No one saw that because I was body blocking the camera. Nothing happened.
I hate that Dell considers the batteries excellent until they're like 65% health. That's horrifying.
Yeah. Yeah, it's difficult to judge what is...
Below 85 to me is like replace.
Apple laptops will throw up the service battery warning at 80%.
Yeah.
And I think that's the reasonable point. I think at that point you've had your money's worth out of the battery because, like, you know, at 85%, you know, the battery is warm, but you're probably still getting like, you know, 75% of the original runtime out of it. You know, so it's noticeably less than when it was new, but it's still perfectly functional. But however, once the battery drops below 80% health, that's the kind of time when you have issues where, like, the bottom 20% of the battery is just non-functional. It gets down to 20%, and then the voltage tanks so much that the laptop cuts out before the battery is empty.
Yeah.
You know, and this is why you have issues with phones that will cut out at 50% and things like that. Because yes, there is some measured capacity still in the battery, but the voltage drops too much under the load. So you can just have a sudden burst of load which pulls the voltage down and the battery falls over. And then you can just turn it on and try again. So yeah. Did I solve that battery service error? Yes, the an SMC reset did fix it in the end. I'm sure I'd done that, and like the battery had been disconnected plenty of times, but when I actually did a very implicit sorry, an NVRAM reset. When I did a very explicit NVRAM reset, then it cleared it. So yes, that was the issue in the end. So yeah, thanks for your input on that, by the way. Let's see, battery information. Health is excellent. So yeah, what was the other thing that Sai just said as well? Oh yeah, check power config to see if it's always meh. Yeah. All right. This one is fine as well. But yeah, when it comes to supplying the laptop, as long as the battery says it's excellent, like we know that it might not be excellent because Dell have a very weird definition of what excellent means. To me, excellent means 95% or above, and good
Why is this only restoring a volume? What have I...
That should have been doing things.
It finished, it said OK.
Oh, I see.
So
yeah.
I clicked OK.
Okay,
And then
yes.
took out the SSD.
Ah, right.
And then
yes,
put
so
in another SSD.
You're doing another one, yeah. Okay. Yes, you need to restore complete disk from images.
Yeah, it just put me to this screen after I clicked OK, and I was just like, oh, can I just do another one?
Oh, I see, yes.
Well, apparently
I'm...
Restore disk from file.
No, restore complete disk from images.
Ah.
The one that says restore complete disk from images.
Ah!
Old married couple. I know, dear.
Yes. Select this image file. Yes.
Cup of tea time. Absolutely. Right, and this one is excellent.
I
All right.
see. Yes.
I'm kind of curious as to what this puffy battery reports. I'm going to plug it in.
What does it report? It reports, I am puffy.
Well, it'd be interesting to see if it reports its condition as excellent. I'm curious as to if, like, yeah, because it's visibly not okay. So I'm curious as to if its battery management reports that it's okay or not. Oh, this, screws. What happened to the screwdriver?
I put it on charge.
Thanks.
Because the battery was showing as low.
The battery always shows as low on the on the electric boy.
Oh, okay.
I think it needs a new battery.
I wondered if that was why it could not undo the screw.
Yeah, it probably was low anyway, though. Now you mention it, so yeah. I don't know why I've made this point. These screws have captive. These screws have captive batteries.
Yes, they are used to keep batteries captive. You are correct.
Bet it's still good, and if you check power config, it'll be fudged in there too. Yeah. It's stone flat. I think this is going to ram train because oh no, it's still good. Battery information.
Not
it's
installed.
not. It's not detected. Yeah,
The battery is a
actually
status
not
of
detected.
no.
That's see now because we've got it rigged up. I'm kind of tempted to plug this into the battery analyzer now.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would kind of be interesting to look at to actually
Dun, 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 dun.
What's the state of the hinges? I should probably tighten the screws on all of them. Yeah, I could put like 1/8 of a turn into the hinges here. So that's probably worth doing on all of them as well. By and large, I find these the newer ones are okay. When I used to get the 5480s, the older ones, the hinges on those were always loose and floppy. Whereas these newer laptops, the 5400s and the 7400s, the hinges on those seem to generally be fine whenever I get them. But definitely worth looking. It'll be locked, no mystery there. It's true, but yeah, I will show it for the sake of the people. I've got to figure out what the pin out on it will be first.
Right.
I'm gonna quickly desolder that jumper wire on the MacBook battery, so this isn't just a hot battery sitting on the bench.
Now it's a cold battery sitting on the bench.
Hot tamale, hot tamale. Right,
Oh.
I've no idea what the pin out is on this battery, so I'm going to guess until it works.
Is the penalty for failure an explosion?
No, the analyzer has got pretty good protection in it, and the pins that I'm guessing on are the data pins. And you can do a little bit of deduction by looking at the battery connector on the laptop. So by looking at the battery connector, I can see that it has 3 positive pins and 4 ground pins. And then there are 3 data pins in the middle. So that immediately tells me that the clock and data pins are going to be one combination of those. And you can very quickly just brute force try them in sequence until you find a sequence that works. So yeah, there's a search on the analyzer. I very rarely get results from it. I mean, you know what? Because this is a Dell, it's actually worth checking. You're correct. However, I get my success rate with the battery search on the analyzer is maybe 20%. Like maybe 1 in 5 batteries it will know. But vast majority of the time, I never actually get results. I'm probably going to get proven wrong here. But yeah, I found that it's very hit and miss. Knowing how to figure out the battery is a lot more useful. MXV9V. MXV9V. Find pin out. Okay, it had this one. Fair enough. But yeah. I think it's Lenovo and HP it never seems to find for me. But yeah. All right. Let's see. +1, clock 4, data 5. All right.
That's the first time I've seen that as an error message.
Hold on a moment. I'm just memorizing things. Clock 4, data 5.
Oh my god, what the hell is the... What?
Right. What error message are you getting?
Just the battery is low. Retry to boot.
Oh, yeah.
And I was just like, okay.
Yeah.
What?
It's
Also,
basically a checkpoint. It gives you the opportunity to switch off the laptop and abandon the startup while the battery is low, instead of it getting halfway through boot up and then conking out and potentially damaging the Windows install.
it just seems weird that it would say it when it's plugged into it.
Yeah, that is a bit strange, actually. Yeah.
That's more why I was just like, huh.
Yeah.
I was just
Alright.
making sure the SSD was detected because it didn't feel nice when it went in. I was like, did I do a whoopsie?
Very well. Right. Do you want to switch us over to the video capture and we'll see if I've got this. See if I've got this pin out correct.
Capture with face.
Right. Read all once.
Where's the spell one? There's the spell one.
The database is wrong. Oh, actually, no. Hang on a sec. No, sorry. That wasn't fair. That wasn't fair. It's a knackered battery. Right. At the risk of blowing up the battery, I'm going to apply some power to it. Ha. 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 This looks like a no from me, dog.
What level of smoke is normal?
That's why I looked over there. I was just like, I should probably just like check that it's not exploding on the other bench. I think that looks like it's mega dead. I'm going to check the pins the other way around just in case. Let's turn off the power output first. Whoop.
Goodbye, Sai.
So how this works is if the battery is stone dead and unresponsive, you can tell the battery analyzer to apply a voltage to the battery so the BMS chip, so the battery management chip can actually get power from somewhere and wake up. However, obviously, the battery has to be in a pretty poor state for that to help you, but it is. I have pulled batteries out of a hole by doing that, so it is a useful feature. But you shouldn't need it theoretically. Right, clock. Oh, I think I've got clock and data the wrong way around. No. Clock 4, data 5. Clock 4, data 5. Yeah, no, that's what it said. I'm going to try reversing those. Oh, also, I think I might just be going... I think I might have everything reversed. Because I'm professional.
Professional?
Right. Clock 4. Data 5. Let's try that.
Someone have a battery? No, that is batteryless. I'm going to
there we
put that
go.
in this box.
Yeah, it's locked. Health is at 70%. It's fully charged, but it's locked though, so which means it won't output.
Is it unlockable?
So theoretically, if we had, I don't have the chip reset license. If I purchased a subscription for the chip reset license for the battery analyzer, then you could start issuing commands to attempt an unlock on the chip.
Right.
And then at that point, you could potentially unlock the battery and get it, and you could try and recover the existing cells, or if you have replaced the bad cells, you could then unlock it and make it work again. However, obviously, we're in the realms here where it's just like, great, we'll have a battery at 70% health.
Yeah.
We don't actually care. So this is why it's very interesting that this has the unlock functionality, and I think there are instances where this would be interesting. Like, for example, the other thing is it also has a feature to reset DJI chips, and that means drone batteries.
Yeah.
Now, if you've got a drone with a specialist battery that costs £200 because it's a DJI, then at that point, suddenly you're probably going to want to go through a lot of effort to try and recover one of those batteries.
Yeah.
And I think that's where this feature might have value. But that's not a field that I have any expertise in. From the perspective of laptops, I don't think recovering batteries like this is actually useful. So
yeah, certainly not given the ready supply.
Yeah. So in this instance, I have zero interest in attempting to unlock this. Sometimes you can get a battery to unlock by just feeding some power into it. Also, the other thing to watch out for is if the battery has a sys-detect pin and you haven't connected that, that can be seen as a locked battery as well. And when you connect the sys-detect pin, it will unlock.
Oh, I see.
So there are gotchas here. So just because you see locked in red text, that doesn't mean you're done.
Yeah.
However, this battery, we have the pin out for this, and we're told that it doesn't have a sys-detect pin on it. So, and also we know the battery is goosed anyway. So in this instance, yeah, it's fudged. Another observation that someone made as well, who was that? Marcel pointed out it's only done 46 cycles, and that is another interesting thing. This battery is about 4 years old. Oh yeah, manufacture date 2019. This battery is no less than 4 years old, and it's only done 46 cycles. This tells us this laptop has probably spent its entire life plugged in on a desk. So that also tells us that it's probably fudged as well. Also, someone said only 2 cells, and yeah, that's correct. It's a 7.6 volt battery, so that's a 2-cell battery. So it actually has 4 cells in it. It's a 2x2 configuration. So 2 pairs of cells in parallel. So yeah. So based on the information we're getting out of this, this is just a toast battery. There's nothing else to learn here. One instance that we might have seen, like the battery is puffed up, so we definitely know that it's fudged. But let's say the battery wasn't puffed up, but it wasn't working. We might have seen that these cells had dropped to, say, 2.8 volts. And that can cause that will cause the laptop to not run from the battery and not charge the battery, but the battery could still be unlocked. And in that condition, you could you can charge the battery from the analyzer at a very low current and just slowly nudge the cells up to like 3.2 volts and get the state of charge up to like 5%. And that's enough for the battery to awaken, and then the laptop will suddenly go, oh yeah, I'll charge that, and it's fine. And I have recovered many batteries from that state. Many batteries that looked like they were completely dead, but they had just over discharged a bit. The laptop had been drained down to 0 and then left to sit for 2-3 months. And so the batteries are then self-discharged below minimum.
Or like the dumb situation with that camera.
Yeah.
Where like the battery cutoff is fractionally lower than the minimum charge.
Yeah. So yeah, you can have instances where the battery appears to be dead, but you can just manually trickle charge it and get it into a state where it's working again. So yeah, however, in a surprise to no one, as Floorlamp said, this battery is locked, and as we can see from the stats, it's fudged. So yeah.
The main lock reasons are Ulvo, Ovlo, Okpa.
I see.
Ah yes. I need a Javaka.
All right. So I need a new battery. However, we have 3 good batteries. Put that one back in. Right, do you want to switch us back to face cam?
How?
Thanks.
The one that's missing a battery is sat on the bubble wrap behind us.
Cool. Yeah, so the one that had a crap battery in, that was the cheap one. It wouldn't surprise me to know that they knew that the battery was knackered. It might have been mentioned in the list. No, I don't think it was mentioned in the listing, but that's probably the other reason why it was a cheap one. It didn't come with a charger and the battery was knackered. That's why it was cheap. However, even after I've put a charger and a battery in it, my actual cost price on the laptop, I don't like the way... Did you just lower the brightness on that? Oh, okay, yeah.
I was just checking the slider worked.
Got it.
Because I know that's a thing that can randomly just be like, lol, we're not working. Also, start menu, please open.
Yeah. Yeah, even after I put a new battery and a charger onto that other one, my cost price on the whole laptop is still going to be, you know, just under £200, and I can sell it for £300. So it's I can still easily make £100 profit, no problem.
There you go.
All right.
That one's reporting a high state of charge as well.
Good.
This one was 0%, so I'm just leaving it on charge while staying.
Yeah. So basically, what my plan for these laptops now is just to bash my Windows 11 image onto them. I'll want to run Windows Update on them as well because that image is out of date, or at the very least, it will need basic Windows updates. It is a 23H2. Wait, is 24H2 out yet?
No, because we're still in the first half of 24.
Well, you never know. It's just
24H1, maybe.
Oh, okay. Is 24H1 out?
I've no idea.
Okay.
But like, no, the update for the second half of the year when we're in month 4 of the year is not out.
Look, Microsoft work in mysterious ways. Like, they still think they're going to kill Windows 10 next year. You know.
They might.
Windows 10 has a 69% market share of Windows. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. 23H2 is out. Yes, 23H2 is the current. Yeah. Yeah. So yes.
Interestingly,
either way, I want to run Windows Update on these. So basically, if a customer comes in and says, "I want to buy one of these laptops," and they say they don't have any data to transfer, they don't want Office, they don't need anything else, I can just go, "Certainly, here is a laptop. It is ready to go," and I can just sell it to them there and then, and they can walk out the door with it. Most customers will then say, "I want Office," or "I've got an old laptop. Can you copy my data across?" So there will be further work to do. But I like to get them to the point where if the customer just wants to walk out the door with a laptop right now, I have something to give them. So that's the plan. So yes.
Fucking. I couldn't get the damn thing in. My hand kept shaking.
Oh, I see.
So I was just like, "Well, you
Are
just
you okay? Yeah.
please."
Do you have conniptions?
I have an essential tremor, apparently.
Oh yeah, the 10 votes. I put 11 on them by default. However, I offer, if people are, by default, it comes with Windows 11. When people say, what does it come with? I say, it comes with Windows 11. I recommend Windows 11 because that's the current version of Windows. However, if you specifically want 10, I can put 10 on there. But be aware that Microsoft have said they're ending support for that next year. We don't know what that's going to look like yet. And for this reason, I recommend 11. However, if you really want 10, I can put 10 on there. That's my current policy, basically.
Oh, does it affect it? Ah, I see, okay.
Microsoft is also going to offer a 10 extended security update plan to home users. So is that going to be a subscription plan? Do we have numbers on that yet? Price unknown yet? Yeah. Because they could turn around and say that it's going to cost like £100 a year or something like that, and I'm like, what? So yeah, now we're paying best part of £10 a month for it.
£75 a month.
Yeah. So that's the thing. It's just because they're offering a price, because they're offering a thing that we don't know what that will actually cost. I mean, that might be part. At the end, we also know that Copilot is going to be what, 20 quid a month?
It is 20 quid a month.
It wouldn't surprise me if they bundle it in as part of that. Like there'll be a Windows Plus, and they will just say it's £20 a month.
Yeah, but Copilot doesn't run on Windows 10.
There's a preview.
For Windows 10?
Yeah. All the Windows 10 computers have been popping up with the Copilot preview.
I thought they said that they were only going to do it on Windows 11.
Well, there's an icon popping up on Windows 10 machines. I can tell you that much. Yeah.
But the thing I was going to say was I did a Windows 11 build install a couple of months ago, 2-3 months ago, from the media creation tool, and it friggin' well installed 22H2. I was like, how? 23H2 is out.
23H2 is a really weird build update because it's not on the media creation tool, as you've noticed, but also it's a weirdly small update. It takes literally 5 minutes to install on an average computer, and I don't mean a high-speed computer like ours. I mean like a typical user laptop. Because when it wasn't available on the media creation tool, I was like, that sucks, because installing a build update via Windows Update sucks. However, it does it in 5 or 10 minutes, like a security update. And I'm like, that's weirdly small.
Yeah.
I think there's actually a very small difference. Right. Catching up on chat. $1 for education. Interesting. Unusual price. Usual price for enterprise, home unknown. Also included in 365. That would make sense.
Microsoft 365.
Yeah. They were chatting possibly £60 a machine. So one time, but
That's not enough. It should be more.
Yeah.
If it's a perpetual thing.
$61 first year for corporations, 122 second year. And then, there's another one from AJ says $75 first year, 150 second year, and so on. So it's a climbing price is interesting because it buys you time, but there are increasing penalties for staying on the old software.
Yeah.
Pre-revenue says £20 a month for Copilot is insane. Yeah, see, when were we talking about this? Was it on my stream?
Yeah, on Twitch.
See, I said
when I completely derailed your chat.
Well, I was just sitting and playing Dark Souls 3 anyway.
Or I completely derailed and I am abusing Copilot.
Yeah. However, I've completely forgotten all of the results from that because I responded to you and I said, well, how much is ChatGPT a month?
Yeah, I've no idea.
Okay, I'm going to find out then in that case.
Only because
that's what they're competing with.
As far as I was aware, ChatGPT was still free.
I
didn't know there was a paid one.
Yeah, ChatGPT. ChatGPT. Right, ChatGPT. Sign up. Are you not going to tell me pricing?
Yeah, no.
I don't want to make an account just to find out.
Sign into my one.
All right. Do you want to? Do you want to do that?
Yeah, that's fine. Whoop.
Yeah. So ChatGPT 3.5 is free with limits, and paid is 4.
I think that's that one. Oh no, it's not that one. It must be.
I'm going to stand in the keyboard.
LastPass. Go away, LastPass.
I'm just going to stand in front of the keyboard while you do this.
Ah, there we go. The wrong. What? I can't. I have to click the edit.
Oh, I see. Oh, that's disgusting.
Oh!
All right. We're not even going to try and explain what's going on here. The point is the ChatGPT login is terrible and awful. Maybe it's to try and...
There you go.
Oh, yeah, who knows. Oh, well. Right. Premium plans.
Oh, wait, where did it say that?
I just made that up. I'm just assuming that somewhere. Yeah, where's the thing? Where's the buy button? Oh, what if you hit that drop down for ChatGPT 4? Yeah, there we go.
Upgrade to Plus.
There we go. £20 a month.
£20 a month.
Or $20 a month, sorry. Yeah. There we go. So yeah, ChatGPT Premium is $20 a month, and that is fundamentally, people are paying that. People are willing to pay that. So therefore, Microsoft's like, well, if people are willing to pay $20 a month for ChatGPT 4, they'll pay $20 a month for Copilot, which has all of the Windows integration. So,
and has DALL-E integration, which, as far as I'm aware, GPT-4 doesn't.
No, GPT-4 has access to additional tools like DALL-E.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, but Copilot free has access to DALL-E.
Oh, I see.
Sorry, was what I meant to say.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Now, for the record, I have zero interest in using any of these tools. However, I recognise that there are people that do have a use for them.
Yeah.
And
I'm interested in running it locally. That's what I'm super interested in, is running like what is Automatic 1111 the front end for, the GUI for? I'm interested in running that, and running models off of Hugging Face and stuff like that.
Stable diffusion
Locally,
yeah.
Thank you, Stable Diffusion.
Yeah.
Running that locally.
Yeah.
And generating that stuff on my graphics card.
Yeah.
I'm interested in that.
Because you're running your own controlled data set.
Not because of any of that, but because it's a cool learning thing.
That's fair.
As an actual thing, as an output, I have zero interest.
Yeah.
And I'm particularly interested because it's all AMD ROCm and stuff like that.
Yeah, so that's the thing. So when they say, getting back to the original thing, that shock of people going sort of, Copilot is $20, you're having a laugh. That's what people are paying for ChatGPT, and Copilot arguably does everything GPT can do and more. And
it's the Office integration.
Because of the integrations.
I am split on whether I want to get that and try it.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. The fact with the Office integration, especially with something like. This is the thing with Office integration, you can effectively have Copilot reply to your emails for you. If you receive an email and you want to you could just say to Copilot, please write a professional response that declines this invitation, and you don't have to come up with a nicely worded answer that says no. Yeah. And now we obviously, for some people they're going to be like, that's dumb, that's stupid, but if you hate responding to emails like I do, that's actually a very appealing concept. Now, this is not something that I have any interest in doing myself, but I understand the use of it. I understand why people desire this. And I think it takes us in a very dystopian direction. But in the here and now, at face value, I understand why people are interested in this. So, yeah.
I kind of want to see and just plug it into our work emails and just see what it does. But it's also the case of I don't know enough about the security policy as to whether I can do that. Because I need to know what's happening with the data.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that's a very good point.
I need to know what's happening with that data.
Yeah, if you're running a local system, then you can manually say no data that I feed into this system leaves our office, because it is all local.
Yeah.
Whereas you can't put any of that data into a off-site system unless you have implicit, unless you, and well, this is a big question actually, yeah, because with something like Copilot, will Microsoft implicitly tell you that they're not training their system from your data, or your data is actually locally contained? Can they guarantee that? We don't know. Is that a thing? Because that's certainly a question that a lot of people are going to be asking. You're not going to be the only person who is saying, no, I need to, in order for this to be useful, I need to feed it sensitive data that cannot be leaked, or at the very least can be audited.
Yes, it's the paper trail and the audit that
Yeah.
I need.
Yeah.
Because it's also that case that obviously, like, I know that Microsoft has that data because that data is stored in Azure and is stored on SharePoint. But I know what the security policy is with that.
Yes.
And I know that Microsoft corporate entities' use of that data is of zero value to them.
Yeah.
But that data in an AI context is completely different data with completely different value and completely different use.
Yeah.
And that data, I can't have that being part of a data set. I can't have that going anywhere else. I can't have that being processed by some other company other than Microsoft. So yeah, so it's obviously that very much that complete difference in kind of the trust is because it going into the AI model, that data then becomes more valuable to be processed and to be used. Yeah. Because I'm vetting it effectively by using it or not using it. So yeah.
Yes. You can very easily extract training data from most public LLMs. Interesting. Yeah. What if your doctors are storing medical data on Azure? Again, if
storing it in Azure isn't the issue.
Yeah, there is a privacy policy for that. You can look at the privacy policy and see exactly where how that data is being used or not used. Yeah. So you can audit that. Yeah. You can look at how the data is not being used and decide what level of acceptability there is there. Yeah. Whereas if you type your data into a chat AI with a trust me bro mentality, like, is that AI learning from its conversations with you? Because otherwise, when it has a conversation with someone else and someone else says, give me an example patient name who has insert condition here, it might suddenly spit out a name that was a real person because it learned that in another conversation.
Yeah.
And now suddenly you have leaked sensitive data. There's no context for that data, and we don't know where it came from. But if that came out, it's just like, well, how does it know that name? Is that because someone else typed that in? Is that a coincidence? We don't know. That's the problem. We don't know. So you would need a system where we can say, okay, we are using this system, but the system is not in training mode. It does not remember any conversations it has after the conversation is terminated. Therefore, the data never leaves that conversation. That would be an example of an acceptable use because we can audit that the data goes this far and no further. But again, we don't know if Copilot actually learns from public use or not. I would wager that Copilot does not train on public data because otherwise it'll become racist within a week, because that's what happened to any previous attempts at a publicly accessible AI. It just becomes racist within a couple of hours. What was that old one that Microsoft did a while back? Lisa or something like that?
I don't recall.
And like literally within hours it turned into a racist bigot. It was very, very, very funny. So we know that they can't have the locks off completely because it'll just get poisoned into the Stone Age within hours. That was it.
I'm very interested in Google's stuff. Far more interested in Google's AI stuff than anyone else is, just because of obviously what they've done with computational photography. And obviously the fact of they've got AI hardware running on your phone.
Yeah.
You know, in the fact of the Tensor processor in the Pixel 6, 7, 8
Yeah.
has actually a reasonably good neural accelerator. So I'm more interested in that stuff.
For what purpose?
I don't know. I'm just more interested in it because I think something interesting will actually come out of it.
Yeah.
Far more so than coming out of Microsoft.
Yeah, because potentially anything that they're doing is going to get done in hardware locally on your device rather than being a remote service like Copilot will be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also just the fact of Google seems to do stuff that lines up with things that are actually useful to me more often than they don't, kind of thing.
Because all of Microsoft's usage is basically the fact that, like, Microsoft have got extremely big stakes in OpenAI. So basically, any toys that OpenAI have will end up in, which is ChatGPT, will end up in Copilot by some means or another. Whereas Google are rolling their own, so they have the potential to come up with something unique.
And also Google are rolling their own hardware.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. And they have been for 4 generations. Yeah.
Pre-revenue says, with Tay AI, that was idiots coaxing it into that, not so much the learning set. That's my point. It was learning. It was learning from interactions in real time. So it
Also
was.
wondered, though,
So
if it
users were very quickly able to poison it. Whereas, if by the same token, if you start telling ChatGPT, if you start trying to poison ChatGPT, its learning set is locked. It will not learn from what you tell it.
It will also close down the conversation.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, carry on with what you were about to say.
Yeah, just because they're doing their own hardware and they're on their 4th generation of TPU? Tensor something? I can't remember what they call it. But they're on their 4th generation hardware and they just don't overly talk about it. But they're on their 4th generation of it, and it's just kind of a case of that's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. However, it's probably one of the reasons why, for example, Pixel phones tend to have extremely good voice recognition and stuff like that, because it's able to leverage that local processing to do it all.
It's just one of those things where it's like, if they stuck a decent microphone in it as well, it would be even better.
Very well. All right. Okay, I see you've been doing the work for me, which is good.
Yes.
Good job. Right. Reploid says people have succeeded. People have managed to get GPT to say certain things that it should not have access to and such like. Yeah, certainly. I mean, we're getting into the. I'm not going to get too deep into the ethics of AI and learning large language models and stuff like that, because we'll end up in a conversation that everyone has had a million billion times, and I'm extremely bored of. However, yes, certainly all of the current language models have been trained on stolen data. So yeah, that is not news. But yeah, that is the inherent problem with all the current AI as we know it, and that will always be a taint on all modern AI. Is it was kickstarted by being trained on stolen data. That is inescapable at this point. I'm not sure what we're going to do about it, but also that's not a problem that I particularly care about solving because I'm not a user of it. So. Was it stolen? Yeah, because certainly certain versions of ChatGPT have been able to quote paywalled articles and copyrighted content and stuff that it should not have public access to reproduce as such. And also, this is before we even get into the realms of DALL-E and other such models, which have consistently reproduced copyrighted works up to and including artist signatures, and like not one-off instances as well, like with regularity. it's not uncommon to see a image generator spit out a garbled version of an artist's signature. And those artists never consented for their work to be used in this way, which means it was stolen, basically.
I guess it, to a degree, becomes a question as well, is not on a moral side, but just on a sort of a licensing side. It's obviously a case of if someone's not making profit off of it, is it actually in breach of any rules, any laws?
That's where it comes down to it.
And that's not a question. And I'm not saying whether about any sort of moral consideration on it, but simply a case of, being upholdable in a court of law.
Yeah. To an extent, all use of all of this for personal use, I think, is neither here nor there. I've got friends. I'm in Discord servers where they have a like an AI art section where they're messing around with AI art generators, and they're doing so for personal consumption and personal interest. None of anything they create gets uploaded anywhere. They're just messing around. That's not doing any direct harm to anyone. But on the flip side of this, I've seen pictures shared that were reproducing a style of an artist that I've recognized. And when I saw the preview, I thought it was that artist, including the signature. I thought I was seeing their signature, and I was like, oh, it's a such and such artist picture. And it wasn't. Someone said, oh, that's AI. And I'm like, wait. And when I actually opened it, I was like, oh, wow, the signature's completely garbled. However, in that moment, I was fooled into thinking that it was that artist. It was that true to form. It had been very deliberately been crafted to reproduce their art. And that is directly harmful. So, yeah. So that's the thing is, there are use cases where you can't really say that this is directly harming someone, but there are also plenty of use cases that I have seen where it was directly harmful, in my opinion. And this is before we get onto just the nuisance factor of it. There are art forums that are just completely poisoned by AI art now, where if you have not hidden the AI tag, those image boards are completely unbrowsable because it's just walls of AI generated guff. And you have to hide the AI art tag to actually see anything that was actually made by a human anymore. And that's a crying shame. And the admins of said image boards I have beef with, but whatever. And they cocked up. And the thing is, they know it's bad because these same image boards, normally there's no limit to how much art you can upload to an image board, but they've had to introduce limits where you can only upload a certain number of AI images per day because they're aware that they've unlocked a floodgate, and they've tried to stem the flow, but they don't have the spine to actually just ban AI art, even when they can see that it's completely poisoned their image board. And I'm like, there is a very obvious and simple solution to your problem here, but they don't have the spine to implement it. But also I wouldn't expect them to because they have demonstrated a lack of spine in past drama. But I won't get into that because it's a long story. Anyway, did anyone hear about the streamer who was upset about AI-generated nudes of her, that she started selling her own app to make nudes of herself? Work smarter, not harder.
Oh!
This is, that's interesting.
I can't remember who that was.
Yeah. This is interesting because that should never have happened in the first place. And like she was kind of forced into, like you say, work smarter. She was kind of forced into that position to do that. So at least she would, she couldn't stop it from happening. So at least she would benefit. That's still a shitty situation. However, ultimately, that's terrible and bad. And if you generate AI art of real people, you are a terrible person. End of story.
I think you can,
unless that person has consented to it.
Unless it's yourself.
Yeah.
You
can
consent to it. I think building your own models of yourself is entirely acceptable. But even if someone else has consented, I don't think that's actually possible. I don't think it's possible for someone else to consent to you generating AI art of them.
Yeah, I suppose. You'd have to have very specific... You'd have to declare limits on that.
Yeah. Consent requires you to be informed. and
Yeah.
it is not possible for you to be informed of all of the ways that someone may attempt to use that model to generate art.
Especially in such early days of AI stuff, where we have no idea how deep this rabbit hole goes, because like the capabilities of AI as it stands now were unthinkable a year ago, you know. So how can you possibly provide informed consent
Yeah.
when we already know that this is a boulder falling down a hill right now in terms of momentum? So yeah.
Yeah. I think it's only a case of you can only do it to yourself in any sort
This is
of
fair.
ethical context.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Right. Pivoting wildly, Alex Cullen said, would you say Windows antivirus is as good as AVG or Norton or any other?
Dramatically better.
Yes. The short answer is Windows Defender, as Sai said, Windows Defender is all you need. All of the third-party antiviruses are more or less scams at this point. There are some that are less egregious than others.
Yeah.
For example, ESET. And
Yeah.
I think Bitdefender is still tasteful, but I still wouldn't recommend any of these because they are still charging you for something that Windows can do on its own.
Yeah.
So they are all unnecessary.
Yeah.
They are charitably unnecessary and scams at worst.
Yeah. The only times is
McAfee is not good. No, absolutely not. No.
yeah.
Is the short answer there.
There are a couple of instances with like the Schematic Enterprise what's it edition.
Yeah.
There is like one edition of that which is like £1 billion a month.
Yeah.
That is fine.
Yeah.
And like there's
like
a £900 version of ESET, which is the enterprise version, which is fine.
Yeah, and
But
those may be of interest because where they're enterprise versions, there is a management aspect to
Yeah,
those.
it's the management aspect,
Yeah.
and also it's the fact of obviously there is then the auditing point, because as we know, as you start getting into enterprise security, it becomes theatre more than actual security.
Yeah. Also, Sophos for Business, possibly. I have no.
Yeah. I have never seen anyone suggest Sophos for Business in an enterprise context. I've only seen the one Symantec one.
Yeah.
And
Sophos
the
are old
one
school.
ESET one.
Yeah.
Because ESET's Finnish. Is ESET the Finnish one?
No idea.
I
Yeah.
can't remember. Whichever one is the Finnish one.
Yeah. Malwarebytes is also okay, but I wouldn't define Malwarebytes as an antivirus per se. I would define it as a malware cleanup tool which can run in the background, but I don't believe it has any particular value running in the background. I think it's more useful as a scanner for when you believe that something is present.
Yeah, ESET endpoint protection, that's what it's called.
Yeah. It's Slovak apparently.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. But yes, the Malwarebytes stuff as a cleanup tool, as a scan to remove a specific problem is fine. As a run in the background thing, I think it's equally as bad as any of the others.
Yeah.
The benefit is you don't have to particularly pay for it to get that run in the background stuff.
Yeah.
As far as I'm aware. But then also I haven't looked for like 4 years, 5 years. Where is the mouse pointer? I can't actually see it.
Oh,
there.
You know, one of the features that I really love about Macs is if you just do that on the mouse pad, the pointer will just get really big. And like that's such an underrated feature because like let's face it, everyone has had that moment where they're like, where's my mouse? And on a Mac, if you wave the mouse around, the pointer gets huge so you can find it. And it's such a simple thing. AVG, I have gotten to the point where I actively class AVG as malware now because I had a laptop in this month that had all of the AVG on it, like so antivirus, the cleanup tool, the VPN, and more importantly, their driver update tool. And the driver update tool had completely obliterated the system drivers on the laptop. They had broken them so completely that I had to reinstall Windows. Like, I actually couldn't recover the Windows install. When I tried to update drivers, Windows was just spitting out errors where I think what had happened was the AVG driver utility, even after I'd uninstalled it, I think it had disabled Windows's ability to automatically find drivers because it didn't want Windows to update the drivers. It wanted to update the drivers. Yeah. So I think it had done a load of GPL. Is it GPL? What's the thing where you set management options in Windows? Group policy.
Oh, group policy.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it had done a load of group policy bollocks that had just completely broken Windows's ability to automatically install drivers. And that had just completely scrambled Windows's ability to do anything. Yeah. And so, yeah, like there was probably a world where it was fixable if you understood what it had done. However, I was at the point where I'm like, it's going to be faster for me to just reinstall Windows than to try and fix this at this point.
And they'll probably end up in a better point anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, after that, like already AVG was on thin ice with me as being as junk from actual scam. But after seeing that laptop, I'm like, no, AVG, I don't care if you've bought it. That is a shoot on sight now for me.
Yeah, it's as Floorlamp said. AVG, Avira, McAfee, Sophos is
delete on
just
site.
Delete on site.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do banks still recommend third-party antivirus? I'm not sure. I still see what's that one? What's that IBM one that people want? Rapport. I think
Rapport.
it's Rapport. Yeah, I still see Rapport reasonably often, and I think Barclays or someone like that requires it to be installed or something. I uninstall that on site, and if they need to reinstall it, then sure.
As far as NatWest doesn't require it, Barclays doesn't require it, Nationwide doesn't require it.
Yeah.
HSBC don't require it, and First Direct don't require it, just because I have online banking with all of those and don't need it. So certainly all of those don't need it.
Yeah.
I know that NatWest were pushing it for several years, and it's vanished from all of their recommendations in the past 3 years.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, funny that.
Yeah, because I think the theory of
all of the people who had any clue about computers were constantly badgering them, saying, this is junk. Stop installing malware on my computer.
The theory of it was solid. Install a program that can validate that the computer hasn't been compromised. But just the practice of that just doesn't make sense because I think the theory of what they were trying to achieve is a noble goal, but I don't think it actually achieved anything that furthered that goal.
Yeah.
I think that was the issue.
Yeah.
So yeah, and plus they've got plenty of other things. Do UK banks have two-factor auth? Yeah, there's so many other authentication methods.
It's multi-factor. It's more than two.
And also just the reality is that the real threats to online banking aren't man-in-the-middle attacks, they're social engineering attacks.
This battery might be goosed because it was at 96%, then restarted and it's dead.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Yeah. We could put that on the battery analyzer. So that's the problem.
Yeah, one reboot and it went down by 90%.
Oof. Yeah. So yes. What was the other thing I was going to say? I've forgotten now.
Yeah. It's kind of the thing is, Wendell on level 1 text was kind of, saying and pushing for and so on, was just the idea of obviously containerization. Is a case of if we had GPU partitioning, we could have 3D accelerated VMs and we have a VM that is only used for banking, sort of thing. And you have a VM that's only used for gaming. So all of the kernel hacks and bollocks that they do for cheat protection is contained to a VM that's only used for gaming and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And by extension, obviously, you get Cube's OS that does a similar concept.
Yeah. But if you actually did that so it was transparent to the user, that would make a lot.
That would require GPU partitioning and things like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of complexity to making that work. But as a theory, that sounds like a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, social engineering or keyloggers. Yeah, are keyloggers still a thing though?
I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't be.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute. The closest thing I've seen to an actual virus in recent history, in years, is like last month I had like 2 or 3 computers that came in with this thing called PC App Store, and that installed itself. And when you clicked on the Start menu, you've got your Start menu appears, and there will be an extra box next to it of get all of these junk apps from some Chinese app store. And
interesting.
it also did the old chestnuts of intercepting internet traffic, whereas on quite a few of them, the internet was hit and miss. It sometimes just didn't seem to connect. And after doing a network stack reset, so the command you would do is netsh int IP reset all, which resets all of the network configuration. Magically, everything would start working again. And that was an old hack from that I was doing back in the XP days after virus infections that had hijacked internet traffic. Obviously, they put in some kind of filter driver in the stack somewhere, and I had to do that on these computers to get them working properly. So that felt like some kind of virus. I don't know what it was, but it was there. That's the closest thing I've seen to an actual virus or logger or anything like that in recent history. The Defender has not been picking up as well.
The thing that usually gets picked up, the thing that usually happens is someone will install Chromium.
Yeah.
And Chromium will then be infested with unsigned extensions.
Yeah.
And it will do it that way. I've seen that. Or people install Grammarly and pay for Grammarly, which is just a keylogger.
Yeah.
It says in its terms and conditions that anything you type into it is stored on their servers indefinitely and is sold to third parties. And people pay for it.
Yeah.
So.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. Sarge. All right. F in chat for the battery. Right. Are we reaching an end? Because we're past the 3-hour marker. We're kind of just waffling while we stare at Windows Update at the moment.
Yeah.
And I would be tempted to stick that battery on the battery analyzer and have a look and see what that looks like. But I have a suspicion that in order to actually see anything useful, we might have to do a calibration where it does a full charge, discharge, charge cycle on the battery to recalculate the health of the battery.
Does the laptop do that at any point?
Theoretically, yes. So if you actually left this plugged in, wait for it to cut off, then charge it up to 100%, that should theoretically recalculate the battery health, and we might then see the battery health suddenly go to poor. And it may just be that it has not actually had a full cycle on it to recalculate the health.
It seems to be charging at a normal rate, so it doesn't seem to be completely toast.
Can you show the battery analyzer? I actually can, because I've got 2 of them at the moment. I've got an old one, and I was recently sent a newer version of it, which is the other reason why I need to make another video of it, because I was generously offered an updated version, which so far, quite frankly, seems to be the same as the first version, if I'm honest. However, thanks for the new one. In return, I'll do another battery. I'll do another video talking about it in exchange for it, because I think that's fair. And I genuinely think this is a useful tool. So, yeah. As I say, it's one of those things where I've constantly been on the fence about how much this thing costs, but I do use it often, and it is a really concise way of actually looking at a battery and answering the question of, is this battery actually screwed, and why is it screwed?
I presume it only works with actual batteries, with BMSs.
Yeah, that's the one feature that I wish it had. I wish you could use it to charge just hobby LiPo batteries.
Yeah, just raw cells.
It would be really cool if it could do a charge-discharge cycle on a raw cell and just tell you what the capacity of that cell is. There is so much more stuff that this could do. But it's outside the scope of its original purpose, which is presumably why it doesn't do it. But it's certainly got the hardware and the software to be capable of it.
Yeah.
I would really love to see them build in that functionality.
Does it have a fan in it?
It does, yeah, because in order to do charge and discharge, it's got a fat MOSFET in order to charge and
No,
discharge.
it's just the fact I couldn't see one, and I was just like,
I see, yeah.
that seems like a design oversight.
It's actually very noisy when that fan kicks in, which is one of the downsides of this thing. It's bloody loud when the fan is actually on high speed, but when you're in a workshop, your equipment makes noise. That's kind of neither here nor there, in my opinion. But yeah. Anyway, do you just want to put us on the bench cam?
Please swing the bench cam actually over the bench.
Yep. Yeah.
Pow.
There we go. So this is the professional laptop battery analyzer. That's the front interface for it. On the back, we've got a USB connection and DC input. So you plug a laptop charger into there, and that goes to your computer for the software control. And then on the front, that's the power LED. So it means that it is powered. The output LED tells you that the battery is feeding. The output LED means that there is voltage on the power pins. So this usually means that the battery is outputting power, but that light will just come on when there is power on these pins. So yeah, that means that the battery is outputting asterisk. So you plug in something like this here, a wiring harness, and then you can see I've got these spade connectors. And what I would do, here's the battery. So what I would do is I would put these spade lugs on. So this is where you need to know the pin out. So in this case, for this one, I would put the pin out of this particular battery. I'll let you move the camera instead of moving things around. So I basically just plug these spades into the connector. So there's positive, there's negative, and then there is clock and data. And clock and data, you either need to, the software has a database where you can type in the battery model number, and if it knows it, it will tell you the pin out. So it will say data is pin 4, clock is pin 5, for example. Or if the database doesn't know it, you have to figure it out. And if you have schematics, you could look at the schematic for the laptop motherboard, which will tell you. Or once you've got some experience with this thing, you can usually figure it out by brute force. Because usually you will find that there are 3 or 4 ground pins, 3 or 4 power pins, and that only leaves you with like 3 pins in the middle that are data, and you can just start cycling through every possible combination until you find a combination that works. So you would plug those in thusly in whatever order those are supposed to go in. I'm guessing that probably wouldn't work. And when you get it right and you click on read data in the software, it will communicate with the battery through those data lines and you get information. And then it can charge, discharge, and read data from the battery management. So that's the battery analyzer. But as we were just saying, unfortunately, what it's not good for is if you have just a raw cell. So say, for example, you have I got one over here? Yeah, there's one. And do I have any? Yeah, there we go. Let's say I've got, this is just a lithium ion battery. So this is a 14500 size cell, or you might have an 18650 size LiPo cell. This is just a simple lithium cell. It doesn't have a battery management system in it. There is no data communications with this. It's a raw cell. What would be great is if you could connect the positive and negative to this, and you could tell the analyzer to just charge, discharge the cell and measure how much capacity it had. That would be extremely useful, because then I could check if batteries like this were any good. And also, if you have a hobby battery like this is a 4-cell hobby battery for drones, RC cars. I power soldering irons from this, whatever you want. This actually has a balance wire. So what would be great is if you could connect positive and negative and like a balance cable, and it would do charge management on this. So as it is, in order to do anything with this battery, I need a balance charger, such as one of these. So there's a balance charger for this, and as you can see, it's got positive, negative, and it has ports for the balance wires. So theoretically, there's no reason why this can't do everything that this can do. This has all the hardware to be able to do what this can do. Maybe not at the same, maybe not at the same rate, because this thing can do a charge rate of 6 amps. I'm not expecting to get 6 amps of charge out of this, but yeah, I should be able to slow charge off of that. I think, you know, there's no technical reason why I
certainly
can't
at the
do
very
it.
least balance.
Yeah, or balance.
Balance, you know, just balance to highest voltage sort of thing.
That's it. Because as it is, like this cell, for example, it says it's 1200 milliamp hours. It's not. It's like 300. This cell is crap. I bought a bunch of these for a DIY project, and they were all crap. But in order to actually measure the capacity of these, I needed to jerry rig a really dirty USB charge setup. And I was like, it kind of sucks because it would be really awesome to use this for that. As it stands, if you want to be able to measure cells like this, you need a digital load. And digital load devices are actually quite expensive, I believe. So yeah, that's that. That's the battery analyzer. So I hope that provides some interest. Right, reading through the chat. William says, I like it and I think it's worth it. Yeah, I agree. The professional on the box makes me nervous. Yeah, the marketing for this isn't great, not going to lie. Especially because it just randomly has the Twitter logo in it as well. Like there's a Twitter logo on top of the AC meter, and it's just like, I don't know why that's there, but sure, okay. You know, the marketing is very odd. It's also weird because it's called the NLBA1, but on the front it says PLBA. So it's, yeah, the marketing is odd, but the actual device is very good though. Right, scanning through the chat. Turnip Gaming, you missed everything. Go watch the VOD. There needs to be a thing like your capacitor tester for battery cells. Yeah, a cheap DIY thing of that would be super cool. I should have a look into that and see if such a thing exists. There are cheap XT chargers for 18650 and so on. Yeah. Make a discharge capacity tester using an Arduino and a sketch. Yeah, that would be super cool. I would be really interested in building something like that. LER has a project for a load generator. That sounds cool as well. Yeah.
It's okay.
I should look into something like this because I'd find that useful.
As Marcel says, you can use it for your PCBWay sponsorship.
I could.
PCBWay, I require custom PCBs for this.
Yes. I need to do these things.
That would require you to, you know, answer your emails.
Yeah.
To actually keep on top of your ticket list.
I've enjoyed this conversation in English.
Very well.
Right. Thanks for coming in, everyone. Thanks for being here. Thanks for all the chats and stuff. Thank you for coming. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Live streaming is... Oh, no! We're logged out. Google sign in.
Google.
I said... I didn't...
Glue gun sign in.
The glue-on gun is very dangerous. You shouldn't overcharge it. All right.
Very well.
Bye.